I know, that's false. You always say that, but that's always false. 2 minutes till the stream is actually supposed to start. We'll just gather people, do a little mic check. Move my Discord off the thing. Ah! I know, that's false. You always say that, but that's always... 2 minutes till the stream is actually... Okay, we're good. Hey, gang! It's been a bit. It's been a minute. Let's go. I did not think he was going to cast New Player Tournament. I'm not going to cast New Player Tournament. I'm going to cast New Player Championships. Different. Yeah. I'll cast JP's tournaments next week and the week after. But this week, I talked to him, and we're doing our own thing. He knows about it. It's been cleared. Oh, music? Yeah, no, that was an advertisement that was playing. Sucks to suck. So it's about noon. People are gathering. We'll probably have to go through this again. But for people that watch the VODs and don't want to listen to me prattle on for a while, plus our players who are in the lobby behind this blocker here. Hey, Trogdor. Let's get on with it. Over the course of February, we hosted 4 new player tournaments, or JP hosted some too, and we took the winners and we offered them a prize. Now, CA, thank you, CA, did offer 4 free DLCs, 1 for each of the players, so each of the players did get a free DLC from CA. But I offered whoever wins this top 4, which we're doing today, will get all of the DLCs they don't currently have gifted to them by your favorite rat. I hope some of them have at least some of the DLCs, otherwise I am going to be completely fucking broke. But that's where we're at. Now, this is a new player tournament. So maybe these new players have a ton of faction depth, but I didn't want to assume that they did. Thank you, Michael, for the €6. I'm sorry. You have a wounded Game Boy walking around, so I'm hoping you're doing okay. But anyway, I didn't assume that these players had a mastery of a ton of factions, and people in a final want a best of 5. So how can I get a best of 5 out of not a ton of factions? Presuming, obviously. Maybe these new players do. I don't know. Well, I asked each of the players if they wanted to do our survival format, and overall they were fine with it. So if you do not know what survival is, each player has picked 3 factions to play in a blind pick order. So you're going to see these players playing their favorite factions. Let's take the matchup with La Luna, La Pruna versus Kukinko, for example. We have Nurgle versus Lizardmen. Let's say Lizardmen win. We have Tomb Kings versus Khorne. Let's say Tomb Kings win. And let's say we have Wood Elves versus Norska. Norska wins. Now you might be like, Human Boy, you're stupid. That wasn't a best of 5. That was a best of 3. And it's over. La Luna won, right? Wrong, because Norska still exists for Kukinko. So now Kukinko can challenge the Lizardmen with Norska. Maybe they take him out, and they can fight the Tomb Kings with Norska, and maybe they take him out. Kukinko would win because they still have a faction that is alive, and they would move on to finals. That's how survival works. It does help out a little bit with potential faction diversity problems. Again, I don't know if these players do. But also, no pick and ban since you know what you're fighting. It was blind pick. Each player sent me their blind pick order of 3 factions, and I set their semifinals based on the least possible bad matchups. If in finals we have a terrible blind pick, like, I really worry if we get La Luna versus Jackerskins final, it's going to be rough. Traditionally, Vampire Coast counters Lizardmen. Traditionally, Chaos Dwarves does well into Tomb Kings. I don't know if it's a counter, but they do well. And then Dwarves do well into Wood Elves. So La Luna would be disfavored all 3 matchups. Sometimes it's just that's how the cookie crumbles, right? But we'll see. I mean, either we have Devil Kukinko, Devil La Luna, or Jackerskins Kukinko. Those are 3 possible matchups that aren't nearly as cursed. But let's get into it. We are starting with Devil versus Jackerskins, and those players have been waiting for me. So let's get on with it so they can stop waiting. So I will message the players and say you're ready to go. And I'll probably go through a shorter version of that spiel a couple times throughout the stream as people hop in. Survival is a good format, much underdog. You could reverse the order of La Luna, La Pruna, and I'd be cooked. Yeah. It's true. We are playing on Conquest. I actually didn't think about it because all of the new player tournaments were played on Conquest as far as I'm aware. and I just didn't really think about it, but one of the players asked me, this is on Conquest, right? And I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. Sure, why not? So we are playing on Conquest today. Ogres versus Vampire Coast. An already not expected builds. Scrag the Slaughterer. I don't hate that pick, it's just a little different. And then we have the zombie polearms caster. Interesting. So for match one, this is a matchup that my brain tells me is Ogre Kingdom's favored, but I've been running into issues with it where I was like, theory crafting, the zombie front line isn't that tanky, you can kind of just bust through it, then you have Nobblar trappers to shoot and all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, it'll go fine. And then like, I played it, it's been a long time. On this patch, which I'm still salty, we've been on this patch for a long time, but on this patch I have played it, but it was a long time ago. I ran into, I think it was Salinator, I think, or Sir Groot, one of the two. Ran into his zombies, his front line didn't break nearly as fast as I thought I could get through it, and all my guys got pin cushioned, and I lost in like literally a minute and a half. So while on paper, I'm like, yeah, the ogres can beat this. I got schooled so hard once that I'm now scarred. So I'm just like, as soon as I see ogres and a Vampire Coast, I'm like, oh god. But that is just my opinion. Objectively, I have talked to a lot of players and they say it is even. Some say it's ogres favored, some say it's Vampire Coast favored, etc. So yeah, it'll be fine. For the builds that are getting set up here with 2 deck dropper bombers, not going to be very useful against the ogre units, but clearing out Nobblars and piggyback riders will be pretty clutch. Then we have 5 handguns, some of the best zombie pirate mobs on this roster. Some people say the pistols, some say the handguns. I really like the handguns. I would honestly say they're one of the like top 10 range units in the entire game, so I always take 5 of them. Polearms frontline plus the Tide of Skuld gonna hold back ogres pretty well. Animated Hulk's nice and cheap. Mass, 2 carronades to poke. You do need a couple carronades in case you're getting Scrap Launcher, Iron Blaster kited, or Lead Belcher kited in a way. Carronades can just keep you safe from that in the Lampish Revenge too. For the caster, we do have a healing caster. No. Interesting. Takes Drown Dead and Gaze of Nagash. Huh. I like the Gaze of Nagash. I like the summon. It's just interesting not to see Invocation of Nehek. On the other side, for the Ogre Kingdoms, we have Nobblars, Ogre Bulls, and Sabertusk packs in a rush. Piggyback riders as well. No ranged whatsoever. We do have Scrag the Slaughterer, but he brought the Maw and Cauldron of the Maw, which means he has Gorgers. That's right, I did see Gorgers. Where are they? A mass Gorger flank with some Nobblar trappers. 3 of them sneaking around for Devil. 2 trappers backing him up. All right. Carronade's going to be free to fire on the Ogre Bulls with their Iron Fists. Ogre Bulls regular too. And when you see this many units running at you, I don't know if he'll instinctively go like, certainly there's Gorgers right behind me or something like that. Though I do see Lampish Revenge moving. Where are they moving to? Yeah, they're just taking a flank position. So he's not sending the bombers to look for Gorgers, which means I don't think he necessarily knows something is afoot yet. Sabertusk packs close in, but they do have to retreat under intense handgun fire. I'll lose a 10th of their HP, getting closer to a 5th. In comes the first Maw cast. There it is. Good damage out, but 0 kills for Scrag. That is very important. So he did not charge the Cauldron of the Great Maw at all, because it goes off model kills, not damage dealt. As that was kind of funny. A ground-based Gaze of Nagash cast towards Scrag the Slaughterer hits everything in between and doesn't reach Scrag at all. As the double carronades are poking him down, carronades are so good against Ogre Lords who are not good at dodging at all. The Ogres are now crushing in, and we'll see if Devil suffers the same fate I did if he just can't get through that front line and gets instantly massacred. So far it's looking that way, though he is taking a more patient flank approach than I did, and in come the Gorgers who have now been spotted. We'll see Animated Hulks go and try and peel them. The big problem for the Ogres is, of course, how low Scrag is, and you can see very nice stuff from Devil, sprinting towards the woods to try and just get to safety and charge up a tier 3 Butcher to heal him, because he didn't bring Troll Guts or anything, so just keeping Scrag alive for the leadership is huge. You do need to do that. As the Gorgers are now starting to get involved, they're going to shut down those cannons and free up Scrag one way or the other. Jackerskins is heavily ahead at the start, but we'll have to see if that maintains pace, as the Lampish Revenge are getting very low, and we're about to see a lot of ranged units start dying, and that is usually when the balance of power turns away from the ranged faction, be it Cathay, Empire, Skaven, what have you. Zombie summons mucking up the front line for the Vampire Coast, keeping the Ogres back as the Gorgers continue to rampage through. Ogre Bulls and Piggyback Riders, rather stalwart in the face of these random gunnery mobs, but we can see actually these ogres that took a while to flank, the patient ones, one of them already got killed off by the handgunners, and another one's about to get in soon. Gorger's taking a lot of damage, but they did take out a carronade. Can they hold? Devil has stopped the bleeding. He's generally keeping up with Jackerskins in damage now, but he hasn't clawed back any of that damage advantage just yet, and his front line is starting to falter. Still not able to get through the zombies. Not yet. As the Gorgers are receiving no healing from the Great Maw, we can see it's not even popping up on their unit card because it's literally 0% charged. Yeah. But the Lampish Revenge are dead, which is huge. That is a late game insurance piece the Vampire Coast almost always rely on. Ogre Bull's getting onto the other carronade that is trying to hit Scrag, but once the carronade is offline, Scrag might be able to get into the fight, and another Maw coming through to finish off some zombies, but also get that handgun mob, and this should get him some kills. 32 kills after 2 Maw casts. That is a 16% charge. Does he even have Gorgers to still heal? He has 1 model here, 10 here, and they get a meat feast. Yeah, the meat feast is saving them more than his cauldron will. These other Gorgers at 6 models. So yeah, unfortunately, I generally hate the Cauldron of the Great Maw. I think it's a terrible ability, and that is why. Handgun mobs throwing guard mode, and they are going to shoot at Scrag. The meat feast was not used on Scrag, so that's not going to save him. He is very close to dying. They were prioritizing giving it to these Gorgers, keeping them up and healthy as the Ogres try and clutch it out. Still about 2,000 damage behind, as they have been for a while, as those Bomber Bats wreck the Piggyback Riders. And we still have 2... Oh god, a Carronade's still alive. Oh, that might be GG. If that Carronade can get 1 more shot onto Scrag, it'll probably kill him, honestly. As more summons come out from the VP caster, how many more do you even have? 1 summon left. If the Ogres can hold on, they might be able to clutch it out. Because summons are doing a lot of work here, and as we can see, these Gorgers and Ogre Bulls and whatnot, getting onto the handgun mobs can kill them quite quickly. The other handgun mobs are trying to peel for now. The Carronade is not able to get another shot on the Scrag. He's been at 880 HP for quite a while. I think the balance of power is a little overeager on the Vampire Coast. Bombers do have 2 shots left and no shots left. Soon they'll just turn into pathetic flying dogs as Pigback Riders are going to rout, which is a bit of a disaster. The Ogres really wanted those bodies to stay around, especially as we have a half-health Halberd coming in, and Scrag really wants to get in for 1 more of the Maw. If he can get the Maw onto this healthy Halberd, actually, the Ogres might be able to win this game. Oh, especially if we can get both Halberds, that would be huge. Handgun mob that used to be so healthy is almost dead. I don't see the Carronade anymore, so either I've lost track of its flag or it is dead as well. The Ogre's getting a bit of a second wind. They've maintained that distance on the balance of power, and they have actually caught up a little bit. They used to be 2,000 behind for quite a lot of the game. A lot of Vampire Coast crumbling. 1 handgunner still healthy. And we have 1 halberd that's still healthy. Nope, 2 halberds. Their flags were just a little separated. So Scrag, can you get in there and get another good Maw? Do we even have the potential for another meat feast that Scrag needs? Because Scrag could actually duel very well against this polearms guy. Sure, he has a halberd, but Scrag actually has very impressive melee stats versus infantry. So we'll see, but he would need healing definitely before he gets involved in anything like that. These halberds have got to be getting a ton of work in. Ooh, only 260 value for that one. 380 for the other, but they are still whittling down these Gorgers, who are trying to slowly regenerate from that Cauldron of the Great Maw. Losing another Gorger soon. Alas, the Ogres are charging in. We lost 2 Noblar Trappers, shattered off by the final zombie summon. And in comes the Maw cast right on top of these Halberds. That should be pretty good. Yeah, big damage needed at a good time. Hit both polearms mobs, actually. Just a bit onto both. All of a sudden, lag. And I'm so concerned because that lag came out of nowhere, but so far people are still moving slightly. It's when it hard freezes out of nowhere and then just stops is when, like, you're probably gonna get someone drop. And that would be a disaster right now because this game is not decided. Not at all. The damage value has closed. There's a full health summon that's also helping the balance of power quite a lot for the Vampire Coast. Now, without the summon, would the balance power be 50-50? No. But really look at the game right now. You have 2 almost dead halberds. You have a full health Vampire Lord and a deck bomber that's out of ammo. And for the Ogres, you have a ton of units, but their leadership is all blinking. I couldn't call this if I wanted to. But it looks like it's rallying a bit. No one's going to break just yet, and Scrag even gets back in here to try and fight some deck droppers in melee and push them back for now. Ogres really want all these halberds to crumble as much as possible so they can rally further. 30 seconds left on the final summon for the Vampire Coast. Then it's going to get a lot easier to cleave through these guys. All right, lag is stabilized. We're doing okay. As more ogres charge in, and that is a lot of charging units. Might be able to get a meat feast for Scrag. I might actually take the ogres here. I wonder if the Vampire Fleet Admiral has enough Winds of Magic. Dismember. Use the Dismember on these guys to damage them. That makes me wonder if he is really low on army passive and he has no chance of getting a meat feast, but whatever. If this guy can get one Gaze of Nagash onto Scrag, he can solidify this game, as the ogres' leadership is just failing them. They're falling apart in every angle. And these halberds starting to get a lot of damage value in the late game, but they're also so close to dead. Yeah, 450 for one, 800 for the other as Scrag starts to angle his way in here. Gorger's still fighting, 6 models of them left that it can still heal a little bit. Scrag starting to charge in too. And there the Gorgers move towards the Polearms caster, trying to keep him locked down as Scrag piles into the halberds. There's the Gaze of Nagash. Does it reach Scrag? No, he gets knocked over and canceled. Now he's trying to fire it again. I can see him charging up, so the deck droppers try and land behind Scrag. He's taking a lot of damage from these halberds that he just plowed straight into as the Gorgers start to push back onto the Vampire caster. Scrag routs, and then army losses takes hold, leaving just the Gorgers all by themselves. The crumbling halberds are enough to hold on, and we're down to 2 Gorgers. Even a Gaze of Nagash onto the shattered Scrag just to try and shut down the Cauldron of the Great Maw healing, I suppose, but that is going to be that. Game 1 goes to the Vampire Coast in a very, very close match. So ogres are like B tier without their OP DLC units? No, the DLC units aren't banned. We have piggyback riders here. The Thunder Tusk is banned, yeah. All right, Scrag, good job keeping him alive till the very end of the game. He actually was still alive, he just shattered, but the Gorgers did all right work. They were really hurt by not having the Cauldron of the Great Maw healing them up, but that thing is so freaking hard to charge. For the zombie mobs, they did pretty well overall. Handgun mobs did fine. Some did really great, some didn't do much. Animated Hulks blocked for a while. The Bomber Bats did really, really well. And then Carronades overall did fine. Not a lot of value, but they pressured Scrag and just forced him to literally leave the fight for most of the game. All right, let's pull the Photoshop up while these players set up for the next game. There's no pick and bans, so it should be pretty quick setup, but Devil's Ogres are out. Move on to Tomb King's Chaos Dwarves. It's one of the worst matchups for Ogres. It was pretty close. Pretty close. Bum, 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 bum. I mean, not to play devil's advocate, but Devil was playing ogres. Not to play devil's advocate, but like in hindsight, if he didn't have Scrag, if he had a Flock of Doomcaster, he would have won that game. So like, it's clearly playable. Pretty playable. Chaos Dwarves vs. Tomb Kings is interesting. I do think it's slightly Chaos Dwarf favored. Now, I don't want to reveal why I think it's that. That would be a little unfair to the players. But Tomb Kings definitely have some stuff they can do. I have some theory crafted ways to beat my own Chaos Dwarf build in this matchup. There is a bit of a guessing game in this matchup, though, where if like you go super hard to counter double Kitty Cat and then they just don't bring it, you wasted a lot of funds on like anti-large, armor piercing, and stuff like that. And on the other side, if you go super hard into killing a train and then the Chaos Dwarves go like really wide with an armored rush of Infernal Ironsworn and Chaos Dwarf Warriors, it can also be pretty cringe. So there's a good amount of guesswork that goes into this matchup. I didn't watch a whole lot of the new player matches. Are Chorfs popular? No, not at all. Jackerskins is a little weird. He's a weird dude. I enjoyed watching his games because he played really differently, but yeah, he played some crazy dwarf builds like flame cannons and not like gyrocopters just kiting around like most dwarves do these days. So he kind of played more traditional dwarves. And then again, I don't want to out somebody, but his chaos dwarves are also pretty interesting. I'll say that. I'll say more when we load into the game, but I try not to dox players in the lobby like that. Like, oh yeah, last time they played this matchup, here was their exact build, and here's how they played it, and here's how I would counter it. Holy shit, we loaded into the game, and he did exactly what I said to counter that thing. We messed up. Rambo thinks his Tomb King's favored. Possibly. How y'all been doing while I've been gone? So here's the thing. There's a lot of drama to address. Oh, and we're loading into game. No drama for you, nerd. All right, so what I was gonna say is, Jackerskins, when he was playing Chaos Dwarves, he played them really strange, and he took a lot of like non-train, non-3 single entity monster builds. Like a lot of Chaos Dwarves will play like double Bale Taurus casters with a train and then some laborers, and maybe triple Infernal Ironsworn on the ground, and then you have 2 Bale Tauruses in the sky. He really didn't do that. He focused heavily on Dwarf Warriors and like, you know, weapons teams and things like that. And we can see a bit of that here. We have double Infernal Castellan, but then triple Blunderbuss, and then some Bull Centaur renders. So he plays them a little more interesting. I enjoy watching his games a lot from when I got to see him. Now, what I was going to say in how I play this matchup and like it is I literally take 3 or 4 Blunderbusses and then 3 or 4, I think just 3. I'm trying to remember my exact build, but just 3 Fire Glaives, and then Chaos Dwarf Warriors for a front line mixed with some Hobgoblins. And you just like walk at them and shoot the shit out of them. It's pretty strong versus the Tomb Kings. I have some stuff that I think could counter it, but if they go double cat, that just like walk at them Chaos Dwarf build can shoot whatever the cats aren't currently on and do pretty well. And then if they try and kite you with Ushapti, generally they'll run out of ammunition and they have to come fight you, and your blunderbusses will still kill a lot of stuff. So I found it pretty effective, but I've only played the matchup a couple times with that build, and it felt pretty strong, but it's not like, oh, I've solved this matchup 100%. So, Devil is going for the double cats. Very powerful, very meta, though the risky part is when everybody knows that Tomb Kings like to bring double cats, you can bring a lot of counters. So, sometimes you can bait and switch and not bring any cats at all and make your opponent waste funds. This will not be the case. So, the 3 Blunderbusses and the Bull Centaur renders will have a lot of work to do. Focusing on the builds, Devil does have double cat, as we said, such are the imperishable with just Usurian's Incantation of Vengeance. And then we have triple Ushapti Greatbow, one of which is the Chosen of the Gods. We have Sporkle Stalkers and Skeleton Horsemen on the flanks, and then Skeleton Spearmen and Warriors as a front line. On the other side, for Jackerskins, another very strange Chaos Dwarf build. We have double Infernal Castellan, and then 2 Bull Centaur renders the Great Weapons, the Sorcerer Prophet of Fire on his Bale Taurus mount with Cascading Fire Cloak and Burning Head. Frontline Goblin Laborers, backed up by triple Blunderbusses and a Deathstreaker rocket launcher. The rocket launcher realizes triple Ushapti Greatbows will be quite bad for it, so it is trying to poke down the Chosen of the Gods, as the Infernal Castellans will also occasionally fire musket shots over. Walk at them, shoot the shit out of them. Chorfs need the bar. I do actually kind of like this. I know Bull Centaur renders can sometimes get caught up on your own infantry, and it is a bit of a problem. So I do like putting your artillery piece out in the middle of literally nowhere and then keeping all your infantry away from it. It's counterintuitive, but I have had issues with Bull Centaur renders just derping out. Cascading Fire Cloak onto the Bull Centaur renders, giving them increased stats, but it's also dissuading Cetra and his other cat from engaging at all. Meanwhile, the Bale Taurus is just sniffing kitty rear, and then finally does get a charge attack off as he manages to land. One of the Blunderbusses is taken out by the Chosen of the Gods super quickly. The Deathstreaker rocket launcher and the double Infernal Castellans are doing a good number on the poor Ushabti. Cetra and the big cat turn around to finally fight the Sorcerer Prophet, and he retreats. Bull Centaur Renders coming up on cue. This new series Incantation of Vengeance hurts them a little bit. It hurts them less than it might some other cavalry because they have a lower model count, but still hurts. Skeleton frontline gonna win for the first time in their history. They will beat Goblin Laborers, so congratulations, Tomb Kings, you have a winning frontline. Don't let it go to your head. Though we do have a rare mistake here from Jackerskins. Positioning the Deathstreak Rocket Launcher all out on its own is fine as long as you protect it, but then he did overextend a little bit. Now he's getting the fight he wanted. Cascading Fire Cloak onto the Bull Centaur Renders. They're fully surrounding Cetra, and you can see the amazing damage they're getting down without any Goblin Laborers blocking their way. That's great. You are losing a Deathstreak Rocket Launcher for free, and now the Tomb Kings did get some Skeleton Spearmen up, but you can see the amazing work the Bull Centaur Renders are doing when they isolate out Cetra, the Imperishable, like this, and the Blunderbusses are peeling away the Sphinx Usef on the other side. But a Burning Head goes awry from the Chaos Dwarves. They ended up burning heading a lot of their own troops. After the first Skeleton Spear was hit, the rest mostly hit Goblin Laborers and forced them away. Usirian's Incantation of Vengeance back down to the Bull Centaur Renders, and Cetra does survive. He gets to safety for now, and Ushabti Great Bows are all three firing at this clump of Bull Centaur Renders. While they got amazing damage down on Cetra the Imperishable, they took it right back, so we'll see what ends up happening from that. Once again, Jackerskins has a slight lead on the gold damage value as this game starts out, but unlike the Vampire Coast one, he's not leading by 2,000, he's leading by like 600. And we can see that his three blunderbusses, one is being constantly harassed after it routed once, and the other one is now beset by the Sphinx of Usef. So that is the problem with this type of build, and why I generally like having like 7 ranged units, is now there's only one blunderbuss that can try and punish this, whereas in the other version you can have a lot more. Deathstreak Rocket Launcher still dying off, and there's just nothing that is able to go back and get it, as these Bull Centaur Renders are busy. This one is terror routing, so it looks like the Deathstreak Rocket Launcher is just going to die on its own as Devil catches up on damage value. The Double Cats close in on the final blunderbuss, the only thing left that can stop them in this area. And elsewhere, the Bull Centaur Renders are getting so damaged that, yeah, we are going to run out of gas quickly for the Chaos Dwarves, and any ability to kill the big cats will go away. Infernal Castellan's now trying to shoot Cetra and finish him off. He only has 3,000 HP, and Bull Centaur Renders have rallied. They're going to run to the edge of the Deathstreak Rocket Launcher, so it does get back online and firing, and it is going to go single shot at Cetra the Imperishable. Chaos Dwarves are going all in on a last-ditch effort to just snipe out Cetra and try and win that way. Ushabti Great Bows still have a lot of ammunition and a really good model count too, so I think the Chaos Dwarves are in a good bit of trouble. As Cetra gets hit with that shot down to 2,900 HP. Bull Centaur Renders have rallied around their healthy artillery, and it looks like the Ushabti are angling for a shot in here. They don't like that the Chaos Dwarves are trying to feel comfortable. They don't like the Chaos Dwarves are going to reset and reform lines. No one's captured the Conquest Point. I don't think this game is going to go long enough that that will matter. The Sporkle Stalkers and Skeleton Horsemen are closing in. The Skeleton Horsemen are more busy keeping the Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses routing. Speaking of which, where are the other ones? This one is back. It's going to get rear charged. The other one's going to rally soon. Cetra's pretty darn low, down to 2,500 HP as the Sphinx Usef is trying to kill off those Infernal Castellans. The other one is just surrounded in random skeleton nonsense. Sporkle Stalkers take a shot at the Sorcerer Prophet of Fire, but Ushabti Great Bow Fire plus the Sporkle Stalkers should honestly be able to peel these Bull Centaur Renders and keep themselves safe. The Deathstreak Rocket Launcher continues to try and pummel Cetra down to 2,000 HP for himself. Ushabti Summon is used to make sure these blunderbusses keep routing. Deathstreak Rocket Launcher officially left all alone. Sporkle Stalkers will finish it off soon. It looks like they're just going to try and get what damage they can out of it while they can. A big burning head down the line of 2 Skeleton Spears that were crowding around this Castellan. And the double Infernal Castellan late game might be all the Chaos Dwarves have. Might be all they need. They continue to try and poke Cetra. He's down below 2,000 HP, but it's not enough quite yet. And speaking of not enough quite yet, the Deathstreak Rocket Launcher is still online, and it switches to firing at the Ushabti, interestingly enough. I'm kind of surprised it didn't want to just try and finish off Cetra, as the Bull Centaur Renders are busy fighting the Ushabti Summon to try and allow their blunderbusses to come back. Meanwhile, the Sorcerer Prophet helps break out one of his Castellans. Cetra's still very low, but not dead yet. Deathstreak Rocket Launcher getting chased off by Skeleton Spears. We almost have these blunderbusses back. 18 seconds left on that Ushabti Summon. Not that it matters. I think those Bull Centaur Renders will go off the map with or without it. And the Castellans continue to fire around. Something just died over here. It looks like one of the 3 Ushabti died. Ooh, very nice stuff there. Usirian's Incantation of Vengeance was actually a mistake here. I know it's tempting to cast your spells, but casting a spell gives actually a big heal to the Sorcerer Prophet. So unfortunately, Usirian's on this Hobgoblin was way better for the Chaos Dwarves than it was for the Tomb Kings. Still, the Infernal Castellan is stuck in a bunch of Skeleton Warriors, not able to do what he would want to. We do get a Blunderbuss back. Death Shrieker's going to get chased off by those skeletons, confirmed. It's not coming back at all. Basic Ushapti, 5 ammunition left, Chosen the Gods, 9. That's actually quite a lot of ammo. And a last-ditch attempt here from the Chaos Dwarves. This is their final stand. Diving in with your Sorcerer Prophet, giving him Cascading Fire Cloak, try and help out the Castellan, who does terror out just as you needed him, unfortunately. It looks like he's maybe going to try and get back up into the air, but this was kind of the Chaos Dwarves' last gasp. So you have Blunderbusses moving up, but their leadership is too low, and as they get pummeled by Ushapti shots that are hard to see in the desert, they are just going to rout again, it looks like. Cetra and the Sphinx are more than up to the task of beating up on the poor Sorcerer Prophet of Fire. The Infernal Castellan has come back in. Cetra's down to 1400 HP, but he has rallied at that point. The Infernal Castellan landed with like 5k HP, and now he's retreating with 1300, so definitely took the worst of that fight. 2 Infernal Castellans can't quite carry this. Ooh, almost finish off Cetra, as this Castellan on the ground did a ton of work onto him, but not enough. Double cats continue on. For the Tomb Kings, the double cats did fine. Sparkle Stalkers did alright. Ushapti Greatbows did alright. Oh, Skeleton Horse Archer value from just running off things or fighting Death Shrieker rock launchers was huge. On the other side, Castellans did pretty well, considering their price point. Sorcerer Prophet Lord struggled a little bit to get his true value out. Blunderbusses got mostly run down. And the Bull Centaur Renders did fine. Death Shrieker rock launcher did fine. All right, while these guys set up game 3, go back to the Photoshop, take off Chaos Dwarves. So 1-1 so far. Both sides still have 2 factions left, but one of them has to end up with one faction. We'll see who wins between the Lizardmen and the Dwarves. Now remember, as I said at the start of the stream, but there's only 13 of you here when I explained that, we are playing the survival format, so it is a best of 5 in a way. It's just a best of 5 with only 3 factions. Let us pretend Jackerskins Dwarves wins. Let's just pretend that. They haven't done it yet. But let's just pretend Jackerskins Dwarves wins. Devil's Tomb Kings can still manage to beat both the Vampire Coast and the Dwarves. Let's say they play the Vampire Coast first and they win, then they play the Dwarves and they win. Devil would win the series. So, both sides still have 2 factions, 2 lives. It is essentially 1-1 in a best of 5. Lizardmen are ready. Dwarves still thinking about it. This is a pretty playable matchup. In my opinion, Dwarves are either the best or second best faction in the game, so it's difficult to say anybody is really that favored into them. The Lizardmen have some options. It is playable. Probably like a 55-45 matchup. As we're loading in now, I can say what I wanted to say. I personally really like tic-tac-toe and then pterodon squads for just harassing and annoying Trollhammer torpedoes and just being a nuisance. And then your teeny tiny model is hard for the Trollhammers to hit. And then after that, grab a lot of red-crested skinks, feral bastillodons. So there's some elements of that in this Lizardmen build. I really like for feral bastillodons versus dwarves. 650 gold for a small armor-piercing anti-infantry monster with terror is quite nice, because dwarves have amazing anti-large stuff, but the Bastillodons are so small and so cheap that honestly, they don't die that fast, and then when they do, it's like, okay. A weird way to think about them is they're only like 100 gold more expensive than a red-crested skink. Right? And that's kind of where you have to put your mindset when I say a feral Bastillodon is good. It's like, yeah, you focused all 3 or 4 Trollhammer torpedoes on it and killed it in 3 volleys. Great, but that's like, if you did that to a red-crested skink, I'd tell you you're trolling, so. You have Dwarfs listed as a bad matchup for Lizardmen. That list is probably outdated as the patch went on. I tried some creative Lizardmen builds, and like I said, I like Tic-Tac-Toe and then a Flock of Doomcaster. But we'll see. That's not what we have here, so let's focus up. For Jackerskins, we have a basic cannon, 4 Iron Drake Trollhammer torpedoes, 2 Slayers, and then some Longbeards, Miners with Blasting Charges, and Dwarf Warriors. One of the miners is the Ekron's Miners. We have a Dragon Slayer hero, and then Thoric Ironbrow on foot with his Rune of Hearth and Home, Vigor and ITP aura, and then the Rune of Negation damage resistance. On the other side, for the Lizardmen, we have Feral Cold Ones, nice little armor-piercing War Beast units. Red Crested Skinks, including the cohort of Sotek, regular skink cohorts, and then Javelin Skinks. Triple regular Kroxigor with their anti-infantry buff that the Sacred Kroxigors don't have. 2 Feral Bastildons, 1 Ripperdactyl Rider, and a Slann Mage Priest of Metal with just Final Transmutation as a spell. I'm a little worried about this because the Feral Cold Ones, I get why you want to take them, but I find their melee stats are too low to get through Dwarven melee defense. Like, most Dwarven units will just tank through the Feral Cold Ones, so I struggle with them. And also with a Slann, he has troubles because of cannons. If the cannons target the Slann, we'll see a Scrag the Slaughterer like game 1 situation. Feral Bastildon gets hit with all 4 cannonballs. My stream is getting all pixelated. Why? Okay, sorry. Gotta check on stream health stuff. I don't know why I was getting all pixelated. That was weird. Anyway, Trollhammers getting their early shots off onto the Skinks. Might as well, because nothing you actually want to shoot is in range, but soon they will want to shoot at these guys, as the cannons are now firing at the Kroxigors. And Trollhammers are going to try and shoot at the Bastildon, but it's so, like, low to the ground that they're honestly going to get obstructed by their own dwarves, even when shooting at a giant dinosaur. So I like that quite a lot. Other volleys take another Bastildon low, but it's not going to be enough. And he is going to crash into the front lines, but a Dragon Slayer just runs up and flying chops him. That's funny. All right, the flank is coming in. We do have Slayers in the back, very ready to deal with these Feral Cold Ones as the Miners of Blasting Charges wreck the entire front line. Oh, these poor Red Crested Skinks taking so much damage. Now, we are about to lose a Feral Bastildon, but the Kroxigors are getting up here pretty much uncontested, so you have full health Kroxigors about to hit that front line. And Shield of the Old Ones is out to give a little bit of damage resistance. There's the Bound Banishment. Going to disrupt the Ekron's Miners, and honestly, just knocking them down is pretty huge. The damage is also great, don't get me wrong, but knocking them down does save your Red Crested Skinks for a little bit longer as the Kroxigors start to hit. But the Feral Cold Ones getting rampaged into Slayers is a disaster for them. They get massacred, and these other ones are actually really close to rampaging too. And Devil just a little slow on this collapse in from the Feral Cold Ones and Ripperdactyls. His front line has been fighting for quite a while, and these guys still aren't here. That is unfortunate to say the least. Dwarven frontline running out of oomph, starting to get very damaged. Where's our first Final Transmutation from the Slann Mage Priest? There it is. Snuck past me. That was getting cast at that exact moment. With the tight Dwarven formations, it hits a ton of units, and their spell resist is nice, but still taking about a quarter HP off the Trollhammers, and about a quarter HP off of Thoric is very, very nice. Now, unfortunately, both of these other Feral Cold Ones get rampaged straight into Slayers, and they just get massacred, as we mentioned before. But this one is now down into a bump and grind that the Dwarves don't want. Their 4 Trollhammer torpedoes going to take a lot of damage, have troubles firing, and there are still a lot of Skinks. Now, the Lizardmen have taken a lot of damage. Damage value is very even. Neither side brought any healing, but Lizardmen are quite damaged, so I shouldn't say it's like over just yet or anything, but the Dwarves have a lot more range than they do have melee. Is our other Feral Bastildon still rampaging around, being a pain. Ripperdactyl starting to charge all over the place, and the Dragon Slayer is beelining for the Slann. Looks like he might want to take that guy out as the cannon is firing sideways into this Feral Bastildon. Down to 650 HP, he finally decides to maybe rout. And the cannons are going to finish it off, most likely, as we're starting to get a little bit of lag. Cannon crews are trying to fire while getting attacked by Red Crested Skinks. Bounce power is dead even. An absolute slap fight just starts out here, as neither side has any room to shoot anymore. Longbeard's holding back Kroxigors and Red Crested Skinks for now. But the Trollhammers, if you can get some space, if you can fall back into this open backfield and you can start firing again, the Dwarves can turn this around. They've just got to buy themselves a little bit of space, but the Trollhammers seem to be stuck into the melee with everybody else. Trying to just fire at point-blank range at these Kroxigors. Maybe that'll work out, but doesn't look like it. It looks like he starts to fall back now. And here comes another big final transmutation from the Slaawn as these Iron Drakes try and get away. They're already so low, though, that if it's overcast, it's not. But if it was overcast, it actually might have killed a lot of them off. And now the Trollhammers have gotten some space. Now the Trollhammers are getting to throw. And we even get some miners with blasting charges. Still have a little bit of ammo, and they might use it on these red crest skinks here. I'm just kind of wondering. They're standing for now. There, they get the firing order. So I'm going to put the camera here so you can see it if you want to. What are you doing? I saw you swinging a bunch of stuff around but not doing anything. Trollhammer still firing in. Lizardmen take a decisive lead on the balance of power as another banishment's going to come in for these dwarf warriors, but the Trollhammer torpedoes turn sideways and get good shots on the croc scores. Ooh, Ripperdactyl Riders got back up in the sky though, and they are not about to allow those Iron Drakes to continue to fire. Good armor-piercing anti-infantry flying cavalry. Getting isolated Trollhammer torpedoes should be pretty easy work for them to finish that off. Now, can the Dragon Slayer rally around with some Longbeards and harass the Slaawn? That is something you do have to consider that about the balance of power, is that a full health Slaawn is a little fraudulent on the balance of power as we get later into the game. Obviously, Slaans are very useful. Obviously, Slaans are super great and all that stuff. But if you have just a Slaawn versus a half health Dragon Slayer, the balance of power is going to favor the Slaawn. I would not favor the Slaawn. Trollhammer's still barely alive somehow as croc scores surround and start beating up on poor Thoric. Thoric is in there, I promise. He starts to take a lot of damage. He needs someone to help him out. He has 2 Slayers nearby. Not 2 Slayer units. 2 Slayers nearby. Not feeling too good about that, boss. As ooh, we get some Trollhammers back. 7 whole Trollhammers about to get run down by Velociraptors. They try and turn. They try and protect themselves as even Dwarf Warriors come to their aid, but they just get thrown around by those Velociraptors. Other Trollhammers still trying to set up, still trying to get to any form of safety so they can shoot. Croxagor's on the far side, and the Code of Sotek holding for now, but just barely, as more Trollhammers from the far side, 7 more models way over here, turn to fire at the Ripperdactyl Riders. Now Thoric is getting crazy low, and that balance of power is the Dwarves' worst enemy. If it army losses them, I mean, obviously they'll lose because they'll be down to just their Dragon Slayer, but as long as they can, like, keep the balance of power from army lossing them, they can kind of hold, and I think that's it. The cascading effect, it's down to just the Dragon Slayer, and he's gonna get final transmutationed. So the Dwarves will go down. Big chunks out from that final trans. I like all the Lizardmen just mobbing the Dragon Slayer. Look at all these flags around him. He's just in a pile of bodies. All right. GG's. Dwarves weren't quite able to hold. Red Crest Skinks did pretty well. Feral Cold Ones unfortunately just got rampage and died. Bastildons were tanky and annoying, and the Croc Scores got in there to get some damage out. Dragon Slayer and Thoric did okay. Blasting Charges did alright. Longbeards and Dwarf Warriors held. Slayers didn't get as much value as they wanted. They did some good work, though. Trollhammers did fine. Cannon did fine. Pretty close game. Damage was spread out across the Dwarfs, so there's no standouts like, this unit was trolling, but there also wasn't standouts like, this unit's OP. Okay. So, VP for... Sorry, I have to message players. Jack, he can pick any opponent from you, TK or Lizardman, since he has to beat both to win. All right, so Jackerskins has the option to pick. I'll show you in a visual so that wasn't as vague as it sounded, but Jackerskins gets to pick. He has already picked, but I'm going to go through this. Jackerskins is down to just his Vampire Coast. Now, if his Vampire Coast can beat the Tomb Kings and the Lizardmen, he can still win this best of 5. He's 1 to 2 down right now, right? But he has his 3rd life. Since he has to fight them both anyway, I offer the player who only has one faction the option of picking his first opponent, because if he's more confident in one matchup, that gets us to a game 5, and game 5s are hype as hell. But yes, he has chosen Lizardmen, so Devil will stay on Lizardmen to fight the Vampire Coast. If he loses that, it is down to Tomb Kings and Coast. This is our first of 3 best of 5s today. So whoever wins this will wait for the winner of La Luna, La Pruna, and Kukinko. Should be good. I have a ping on my server that Tequila Sunset is Tequila Sunset. He's streaming a different tournament. That's cool. That's cool. All right, so the players did have some time to think about these matchups before the stream. This is the first one where they had no idea it was coming, because obviously it depends on what factions are still left. So while they are building, it might take them a little bit longer. Devil's already ready. We'll see, but there's no rush. I'm going to ask you, can Jack turn it around? Yes or no? Do you think he's got the reverse sweep in him? The Vampire Coast 2-0? Traditionally, Vampire Coast and Lizardmen is thought to be Vampire Coast favored. I'm not sure anymore. I actually don't know. I've played it as Lizardmen sometimes, and sometimes it feels good, sometimes it feels really bad. I've played it as Vampire Coast, sometimes it feels good, sometimes it feels bad, so I'm kind of leaning on it's 50-50, but it's not a matchup I see terribly often, so I don't have like a solid opinion on how I feel about it. Ogres versus Dark Elves, I know how I feel about it because I see it all the time. Lizardmen versus Vampire Coast? Used to be Vampire Coast favored. A lot of stuff changes. Definitely a winnable matchup for the Coast. Yeah, for sure. It's winnable. I just don't know if it's favored anymore. Might be 50-50. It's 50-50. Oh yeah, I had drama for you. Not really. No, drama enough. So, if you remember the setup for this tournament, how was VC versus Tomb Kings? Boring as hell. And pretty Tomb Kings favored, but it's almost always a blob fight, and it's pretty terrible. So, if you remember the setup streams for this, where I was gathering my 4 champions, I did say I was working with CA. Thank you, CA, for giving the DLCs to our 4 combatants. That was very nice of you. But I do have to say, this, if you remember, this was supposed to be on the new patch, which is now coming out late March. That got delayed a lot because the original post said mid-March, and then they came out with a post this week that said March 25th, which is not mid-March at all. And I had no heads up about that. So I contacted the players, and I'm like, listen, we've already rescheduled this once behind the scenes. Do you want to reschedule it again, or do you guys just want to bang this out? I want to wait for the new patch, but it's been delayed. It's so long at this point that I also kind of just want to get this event done with. And like I said, we did already schedule this and reschedule it behind the scenes a couple times. And the players opted to just finish it out, so we're finishing it out. But if you care why I haven't been streaming, or you're like, where have you been? This patch is incredibly old, and because originally I was like, all right, patch is probably coming out in the next 2 weeks or so. This is in February. I'm like, patch is coming out in the next 2 weeks or so, probably. I've got videos scheduled out for quite a while. I'm gonna play some other games for once, and then early March I had my birthday and my dad's birthday. So I was like, all right, I'll take some time off. I'll have my birthday, have some friends over, do some fun activities, and then go see my dad and that stuff. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then I come back and I hear mid-March and I go, oh, okay, well, mid-March, well, it's just another week and a half or 2 weeks. I can hold on. So I'll make some more content to get us to the mid-March point. And I won't stream just yet. I'll play some games because I don't get to play a lot of single-player games. I'm usually busy with like streaming and all that stuff. So it's fine, it's fine. And then I see late March and I'm just like, oh, God. So I'm like, I guess I'm doing these streams because I have this stream. Then tomorrow I have the top 4 for the veteran players. That should be hype as well. But I'm just like, what do I stream after that? I have 2 more weeks till patch day and I'm thoroughly burnt out on this patch. Like I can't keep casting the one Dark Elf build that exists. I can't keep casting double Tomb King's cats. I can't keep casting Beastmen and they just spam Centigores and Malagor Dark Omen. I can't do it. I can't keep casting heal capping ogres. So if you're wondering why you haven't seen me for a bit, I kept saying, like, when the patch comes out, I'll stream a bunch, and the patch kept delaying, so then I kept delaying, and then I just haven't streamed. But now that we know the patch is coming out the 25th of March, I will say I did take that day off of work. I always have Wednesday off of work, and I took Thursday off of work, so we have 3 days to stream the new patch. I'll be playing some games, making some content, doing some stuff. In between now and then, I have next Saturday JP's tournament. I might stream something for fun as well, but yeah. Anyway, you haven't seen a lot of me for a while. It was complicated. All right, where's the poll at before we start this? 62% of you think Jack can 2-0 sweep from this point against Devil's Lizardmen and then Tomb Kings. Dang. Stream Gladiator? I might do Gladiator soon. I might. Okay. For this matchup, now remember, Jackerskins is backs up against the wall. He has to win this to stay alive. We have the Shade Wraith Gunners, 2 Deck Gunners, and the Shade Wraith Gunners are currently getting hit with double Quaddle Lightning Bolts, but we also have a Mortar, and then the Black Spot, another Hand Gunner, 2 Bomber Mobs, a front line of Deckhands Mobs and Polearms, 2 Morngulls, 1 Bomber Bat, and Celostra Deerfawn on her Crab. A very interesting pick versus Lizardmen. I don't know about this build versus Lizardmen. I'm not a fan. We'll see. I could be wrong, but initial thoughts, not what I would do, not what I like. On the other side, for the Lizardmen, we have double Quaddle, and then a Salon Mage Priest to fire with Burning Head. We have the Umbral Tide for a little bit of more fire damage. Then Skink Skirmishers, Feral Cold Ones, Skink Cohorts, Red Crested Skinks in a very wide, cheap chaff rush, trying to just saturate the area. Salamander Hunting Pack has gotten in range of the Shade Wraith Gunners and does get a quick little volley off. Now, obviously, since we have Celostra, we do not have Invocation to Heck to heal up those Shade Wraith Gunners. As she starts to move forward, a Burning Head is going to try and tickle 3 units. 4 units trying to angle through there, plus the enhanced fire damage they give the Umbral Tide. But the Umbral Tide gets smoked by triple Deck Gunners, and they get pushed off entirely. And the Shade Wraith Gunners are holding on. They do have a leadership debuff on their shots, so as long as they have any models at all, they are doing their job. Morngul's fighting back well against the Lizardmen as the Quaddle has gotten into the back line like it wants to do. All these disruptive spells, the Chain Lightnings, the Thunderbolts, all that stuff, plus their crazy snake-like bodies just ripping through these guys. So good damage out from the Quaddle, has already shut down a lot of stuff, but it is taking damage in response. Response. I almost said response. Raponce's Ghost Knights are here, and it looks like they're going to try and surround the Quaddle, with Celostra helping to duel it as well. Maybe get some good damage out there. The Vampire Coast has done a great job of killing off a lot of these chaff units, but they're going to have a harder time killing the elite stuff. They have taken a lot of damage while they're at it. Deck Gunners trying to dodge the Thunderbolt, and they will, because it's a very slow spell. They got hit mildly, but actually pretty good dodge in the end. As the Deck Gunners turn back, try and deal with the Quaddle. Damn Knights Errant also running off the other ones, and the Celostra Crab is having difficulties finding a fight where it can be effective. Damn Knights aren't going to spend the last 3 seconds of their life charging these Skink Skirmishers before they fade away. Oh, they still have 30 seconds left. All right, good for you, good for you. Let's go. But another Burning Head taking out some of the Bomber Mobs, and this Bomber Mob is actually going to be crucial. Oh, if he can get a good bomb throw down on these grouped up Skinks, that would be huge, as the Damn Knights Errant are having troubles finishing them off, but you can get that terror going. Yeah, very nice combination from the Vampire Coast. The Vampire Coast take the Balance of Power lead, though it is a little early for that sort of thing, as we do have a lot of dying units. Deck Gunners still very fragile if the Quaddles can go find them once again. And another summon out from Celostra, a Rotting Prometheans mob. They can do amazing work on the Quaddle. They're not the shotgun mobs, but still just the crab models in general have really good surround and armor piercing stats if they can get good shots on the Quaddle. Lost about 250 HP since it's been surrounded by them. But it'll start to path away. It's a weird little serpentine bird body taken into safety. And this Mortar exists. He's been firing this whole time, and I haven't really been paying attention to him. He hasn't gotten that much value yet, but he is trying. As the crabs continue to harass this Quaddle, and a Deck Gunner's firing away, while a Tide Call went through some Skinks, a Burning Head goes through some zombies, and I would much rather be the Skinks than the zombies in that situation, as Bombers try and take out the last of these Red Crested Skinks over here. Another Bound Banishment onto the Deck Gunners, who are currently dueling with the Skink Skirmisher, and they will lose that duel. Ooh, but we still have a Bomber Bat. And most of this Lizardmen build was a bunch of chaff, so having Bombers in the late game will be pretty huge, and this Mortar has been obviously doing great work. Oh no! Both the Morngulls are full HP and they've been forgotten! Oh no, if Jackerskins loses, he's gonna regret that so badly. As his ranged units are getting taken out on all sides, he has two monstrous armor-piercing infantry just messing around as I really try to avoid swearing, and it's difficult. But I need to because CA said, you suck at this and you need to stop swearing. No, the Morngul's Jack, grab him! There we go. He finally remembers his Morngul's exist. Oh, if those had been here peeling the quaddles. Oh no! He could have saved so many units. Yo, Twist. What up, dude? Human Boy, how many more segments are you dividing the Lord Power Ranking into? I have one. They're all done. They're all scheduled. And then we have the top 24 of all time. Yeah, I don't know how many more there are. It's like Demons of Chaos, I remember. Raiding Factions, I remember. Lizardmen, I remember. I don't know, dude. I'm sorry. I can't answer that in the middle of the stream. If you're a channel member, you can already see all of them. What's the plan? Yeah, they're already done. They're all already done. You could do a Vermin League stream where you do your Dom placement games to promote that. It got added. Call it Vermin League now with more Dom. All right. We got to focus up on this game. I got distracted by chat briefly. So, the second and final Promethean mob is gone. So there's no more summons for Celostra. She is just a Tide Call caster. But the Vampire Coast are in a really good spot now that we know that both of these Morghuls are here. I was actually super worried for the coast until I saw two full health Morghuls. Now I'm very worried for Devil. I don't think he's going to be able to close this out. As we still have a mortar firing at these skinks and Bomber Bat's going to chase them down. Those are skirmish skinks, so it's not one-sided, but Morghuls can tear apart Slans. Yes, in melee, yada yada, but the Frostbite is what kills him. 23 speed on a Slan, crazy slow, cannot get to safety. And these Morghuls kind of want to fight the Quaddles, so if you want to bring your Quaddles in to fight the Morghuls, they'll also take that, and Celostra is still this big tanky crab. Unless the Lizardmen have their own tactical reserves that were hidden this whole time, I just don't see where the damage comes from for them to win this game, as the Morghuls are going to finish off the Slan, get him to tear out. Quaddles also very damaged. Now, the Quaddles are doing surprisingly well versus the Morghuls in melee. It doesn't mean they're winning, they're just doing better than I would have thought, as the Umbral Tide have been ignored for a while, just allowing them to fire. I wouldn't hate for the Bomber Bats to come over here and throw one volley at the Umbral Tide to get rid of them, but I guess their volleys are incredibly limited, so maybe you should focus them on the skinks. As this mortar is still firing, it's been shooting this whole game. I kind of love it. The Quaddles continue to grind it out, but the Red Crested Skinks get pushed away. Tide Call is out, and that does have the Kiss of the Deep. Little bit of passive damage, especially onto some of these other skinks. No, Morngul, stop it! You stop it! You stop chasing random skinks. You have way more important things to do. You get back here, you hear me? Yes. Okay, good. They're coming back. I was like, this is not going to be another case where the Morghuls wander off the map, chasing things into oblivion. I will not allow it. I will not have it. As a burning head goes through these Morghuls, they are starting to crumble a little bit. Celostra joins the fight against the Quaddles. The Quaddles held in place by Cold-Blooded. That's the only thing keeping them alive. Is the Bomber Bats finally jump into the Umbral Tide. They'll shut those guys down, stop that extra fire. Balance of power gets untenable for the Lizardmen. The Vampire Coast will win it. Range is very clumped together. True. True. Slan Mage Priest of Fire did fine. The Skinks did not get a lot of value, though they were just meant to mob the enemy. Feral Cold Ones didn't either. It really was the Quaddle and Slan show. And the Umbral Tide did fine. Celostra did good. Stayed alive. Kept grinding through Skinks, so I guess power to her. Deck Gunners did okay. The Morghuls both did pretty well. And then the Bombers and the Mortars were still around. Still did okay. They did okay. It is time. The final game, no matter what. Well, not of the stream, just of this best of 5. Both players down to one faction. Vampire Coast versus the Tomb Kings. For all the marbles. My God. We went to game 5. We went the distance. Bye, Captain Tealis. Have a good time at work. All right, I can now answer that question more thoroughly from Clamp 360. So let me see. Okay, so we have which lord of all factions is the most powerful in lore? That's where I take all 24 factions, their highest ranked one, and compare them against each other. Then we have which of the great lizards is most powerful? That's Grand Cathay and Lizardmen. Which demonic lord is the best? Which raiding lord is the most powerful? Beastmen, Norska, and Ogre Kingdoms. And then which undead lord is the best? So we have 5 of the which is the best videos left. They probably won't come out back to back. I'll slip some videos in between them, but there you go. Tomb Kings are already ready. Jackerskins and the Vampire Coast thinking. 62% of you thought Jackerskins could beat the Lizardmen and then the Tomb Kings. To do a 4-hour video ranking all the legendary lords in power. Oh, twist. I mean, we're doing that faction by faction, but we're not comparing them to each other except for the top one. So, yeah, you got me there. You got me there. So from this video today, the most powerful High Elf, Dark Elf, and Wood Elf lords will all make it into the top 24 video where I compare the best of each faction against each other. But, yeah. Do it. Do it. That'll be difficult. That'll be difficult, lemon, difficult. BC are basically forced to take a bunch of cannons in case of double cat, right? I mean, you have a bunch of armor-piercing missiles that can counter cats too, like handguns and hand cannons. I will message, actually, Luna and Kukinko that were entering the last game. We're loading in. Is there a Lord or Hero segment of the gameplay tier list? I have not done that, no. I stuck with the lore one because I feel like a bunch of campaign streamers have already done who's the most powerful Lord or whatever. I just didn't want to redo content that's already been done. They get torn to shred by Ushabti. Cans kill the cats without Ushabti murdering them? Possibly. Looks like he is going with some cannons. An undead matchup. What? Who dares text me? Who dares text me? Tell chat I say it hi. Austin stream right now. I can't respond, so China is fine. Erica's thing with friends. Would 6:30 be too late to start for you guys? I don't give a fuck. Sounds fine. Sorry. We're playing Streets of Rogue with my sister-in-law tonight, and she had to delay. For the builds for the Vampire Coast of Jackerskins, we have 3 zombie pirate deckhand mobs, 3 zombie pirate deckhand mobs with pointy sticks, 2 Morngulls, not Morngul haunters, that'd be very different, double carronade, the Lampish Revenge, 3 handgun mobs, 1 which is a black spot, 5 pistol mobs, and then Count Noctilus on foot. And he has played a different Vampire Coast Lord every single game. Noctilus taking Invocation Heck and both of his summons, his item and his spell. The other side for the Tomb Kings, we have Nakar, Horseman, and Carrion for a bit more mobility harassment. We have Cetra the Imperishable on foot, not on a kitty cat this time, with still Usirian's Incantation of Vengeance. And then we have Nakar Warriors mixed in with the Skeleton Spearmen. We have the Kepragard as well, and then a bunch of Skeleton Archers. 4 of them total. 1 is the Blessed Legion of Flach with their armor sundering missiles that can do very well against crabs in the late game, with 2 Sproko Stalkers as well. I like this a lot. The infantry blitz is not something that Vampire Coast would expect in this matchup. And it's going to make it very difficult for them because they didn't bring bomber mobs, they didn't bring bomber bats, they didn't bring any of that stuff. So killing all these Nakar warriors is actually going to be very difficult. Cannon's going to get some early shots off. Fire. Fire! I want to follow the cannonball. Shoot, you heathen zombies! Bam! Got him. Are there any more coming this way? Oh, there they go. Rip skeletons. Yeah, the cannons are very upset that this is the build. He has nothing to shoot at, really. Actually, like, on build alone, I don't see how this Tomb King's build loses. But I'm ready to be surprised. Zombies start to move forward to buy the pistol mobs a little bit of space, but there's just not enough infantry clearing here. No mortars, no bombers, no bomber bats, nothing like that. It's all straight shot. Pistol mobs get shots in where they can, trying to fire down the side of these skeleton spears. As the Tomb King's carrying a Nakar horseman just set up wherever they can. Noctilus uses his moon dial, Captain Roth's moon dial, to summon at extreme distance. I always forget the moon dial has like a super long range compared to the regular. 3 times the range. So it summons them right on the archers, forces them back as the front lines collide. Blessed Legion of Flach down to missing a 3rd HP, but in come the Sporkle Stalkers. Now the cannons are going to turn and shoot at some of the big targets that are finally in range, but don't have a ton of time to get that damage out onto the Nakar Horsemen or the Sporkle Stalkers. So we'll see what happens there as the Moon-Series Incantation of Vengeance already tries to hurt the Black Spot, who are firing back at the Blessed Legion, forcing them away. And Noctilus is fighting in the center. I would rather have Noctilus than Cetra as a melee combatant on foot, so I think Cetra is going to want to avoid that. Sporkle Stalkers are going to shoot at the Mourngulls, push them away. As they're stuck in a bad situation, they're trying to peel for the Carronades and keep them alive. They're also trying to stay away from the Sporkle Stalkers. Carrying Landon and Lamper's Revenge to keep them busy while the Nakar Horsemen come flying in, trying to take out all of these gunnery mobs of various kinds. And Cetra does just go straight for the duel onto Noctilus, who does seem a little distracted. He's not focusing on the King of Kings. Nakar warriors, we can see, are just cleaving through the zombies. Very healthy as they do so. Jackerskins slightly up in damage value, though I think that is going to close very rapidly. As the Carronades are both getting shut down right now, Sporkle Stalkers getting shots in onto the Lamper's Revenge. We do have some handgun mobs forcing back the Sporkle Stalkers, keeping the Lamper's Revenge as safe as possible, which is pretty huge. And now we have Tomb Guard, unshielded, armored Tomb Guard, having to run into 2 different gunnery mobs. They are unfortunately charging the pistols. They're running away from the handguns, so the handguns can continue to shoot them in the back, which is actually pretty bad for them. But the symbols are the same, so you'd have to really zoom in to know that. Or like hover your mouse, obviously. I don't mean literally zoom in, but when you're controlling a whole army, it's difficult to pay attention to that kind of stuff. Noctilus is still fighting Cetra, though I think he is constantly getting distracted because Cetra has taken like no damage, which if Noctilus had constant attack orders onto him, he would, you know, do better than that. Lamper's Revenge get entirely annihilated by the Sporkle Stalker groups, though. That is a huge loss for the Vampire Coast, though it is an expected one when the Tomb Kings brought so many counters to Lamper's Revenge, like their Blessed Legion of Flach, which were kept at range, to be fair, but you also have Sporkle Stalkers and all that stuff. Ushapti Summon is out, bounce powers heavily against Jackerskins and the Vampire Coast, and I would agree. As a big invocation hack comes out to heal up Noctilus and his polearms, but the overcast damage does about as much as he's going to heal back. Unfortunately for him. Mourngulls are tearing through the Kepler Guard. Kepler Guard's regeneration keeping them relatively healthy, as we could even have Sporkle Stalkers turn and fire at these Mourngulls pretty soon. A lot of gunnery mobs are dying, and it does not look like the coast is going to be able to kill all of Jackerskin's enemies. Just 2 of them. As the zombies close in on Cetra, continues to swing his glaive right at Noctilus's face, but everywhere else the coast are entirely collapsing. Both the Mourngulls are very low, all the zombies are dying. Noctilus himself is at 1/3 HP, and I honestly expect army losses to take them out any second now. It was a very good series to these two. We'll be seeing Devil in the finals. Congratulations to Jackerskins for even making it to the top 4. It has been very fun seeing you on my streams, and I hope to find you elsewhere in the world, even if it's not in the new player tournaments anymore. For Devil, see you in finals. The infantry rush of the Tomb Kings. Getting a rare win. Don't have too much time to hover on the values. Because we do have another series to get to, and they are ready for us. So I'll put you in the Photoshop for just a second. Bam. Here's how it went. Devil got down to just the Tomb Kings. Bum, 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 bum. But Jackerskins, you will be moved off to the side. Devil awaits in the finals. You know what, Jackerskins, you're going to come hang out with me in my Skaven. Bam. So Devil's in the finals. We got to go check out Luna La Pruna versus Kukinko. I'm going to go find their game. I'm giving you a black screen for a second because I don't know if I'm going to load in on the map screen. And I don't want to show the players' armies. Dun, 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 second best of 5. All right, we are on the map screen, so I'll let you guys see again. Bam. The players can start whenever, but just a quick glance at what we're dealing with here. Their first 3 games are set up already, of course. They have Lizardmen versus... Why isn't this done anymore? Whatever. Lizardmen versus Nurgle, Tomb Kings versus Khorne, Wood Elves versus Norska. If anybody is still alive after that, you know the process by now. Let's get into it. Would be kind of funny if Luna and Devil fought, because we'd have Tomb Kings Lizards and Tomb Kings Lizards. Video quality is good. Nice. Nice, dude. Lizardmen and Nurgle. Nergy nerg. Game 1 is on Toothgrass Hill. Both sides gonna have to get up that hill and go fight. For the forces of Nurgle, we have a Chaos Sorcerer Hero, Curse of the Leper, and Miasma of Pestilence for them, and then Chaos Lord of Nurgle with Rot or Die for various buffs. We do have 2 Rot Knights, one of which is the Rotting Riders, Chaos Warhounds with Poison, some Marauder Horsemen throwing axes, then Pestigores and Marauders as a front line. Pretty straightforward Nurgle rush. On the other side, for the Lizardmen of La Luna La Pruna, Red-Crested Skinks and Skink Cohort for a bit of a front line. Then we have Croxigores, Cold One Spear Riders, Salamander Hunting Packs, Skink Skirmishers, and Skink Cohorts of Javelins, the Closton Hunters, and Mazda Mundi, with Ruination of Cities and Banishment, of course, but for his actual spells, we have Apotheosis and Net. And we have the victory point. Looking out for the fields of Lizardmen, over the wasted marshes of Nurgle, and it cares not. For it turns, upsettingly, it turns with my camera. I don't like that. I don't like that at all, that you consistently turn with me. Hey, hey, turn around. What's behind you? Someone's stealing your wallet. Don't look at me. Whatever. Both players saying good luck, have fun, usually means they're about to hit start. Oh my goodness, they hit start. Now I have pointedly avoided looking at it during the army setup, but there is a dog back here. There's a delay on the stream, so if the players are watching, they'll get that information pretty late, but I will keep it vague so I'm not like, there's a dog at exactly this coordinate, but there's a sneaky dog. Lizardmen moving up. I don't know how Nurgle's gonna do here. I feel like I perpetually underestimate Nurgle. I always think Nurgle sucks, and then some people tell me they're good. Not a lot of people tell me Nurgle is good, so I feel relatively justified, but I've used Rot Knights and Rotting Riders occasionally, and they just feel like they don't do anything. But I've spectated enough games where I it sometimes feel like they just turn on that switch and it's like, this game I'm going to be good. And then they crush everything. But there's other games where they do nothing. I don't know. And I know there's some minute details about like, oh, you didn't get a perfect surround. Like there was this one little thing that was wrong and then they did no damage. But I'm like, dude, if a 2,000 gold unit needs everything to go perfectly right to do any damage at all, I hate it. I hate it. It's not for me. Nurgle cares not from where the pus flows. Damn. That is very accurate. Love that. Love that for you. The Nurgle front line is moving forward. It is better than the Lizardmen front line. These skinks would get crushed by Pestigors and Marauders of Nurgle, but of course with Kroxigors backing them up and Mazdamundi's big AoE infantry killing spells, it wouldn't go nearly as well for Nurgle. But infantry to infantry, they have better infantry here. What up, Zypher? How you doing? Rot Knight's moving in a big old pile, because I think he wants to cast spells on him. Yeah, Rot or Die, and then he's about to cast like Miasma of Pestilence, or the reflection one is probably going to cast pretty soon here. I don't know what that is back there, but something's still back there. So the Rot Knights are just crushing these Cold Wind Spear Riders as the Colossal Hunter is going to jump in. Looks like they'll probably pop their Toad Rage, yeah. But they don't get Rampage because he actually layered Cold-Blooded on top of them, but Miasma of Pestilence lowers their melee attack once again. Melee front lines have engaged. Kroxigors need to get activated soon. And already one Cold Wind Spear Rider is gone. The dogs have appeared, and they are going to charge straight into some skink skirmishers as Mazda just tries and scare some people away. He's not on Zlox, so he doesn't have his terror and extra damages. I swear those salamanders are shooting the Clostodons from the damage they just took. I thought there was a lot of friendly fire going on there. So see how much they can do. As the Nurgle frontline is overwhelming the skinks and forcing some Cold Wind Spear Riders back. The Cold Wind Spear Riders are pivoting, and I do like that. They're going to go just fight Rot Knights. That's what you have to do. They're not very good at cycle charging infantry. They can, but when you have two Rot Knights trying to rip through your backline, that is a more important use of your Cold Wind Spear Riders' time. And they're going to filter in here and stop those Rot Knights in their tracks. While the Salamander Hunting Pack is still up and alive and firing, damage value is very even across the board. Nurgle still has 2 Skirmish Cav firing away at Kroxigors in the front line. The Salamanders are not even going to waste their time shooting at that. They want to focus down the Rotting Riders and the Rot Knights, because especially if Nurgle gets any healing, like a tier 2 Fecundity or something, setting these guys on fire is going to be huge. And he even AoE nets both of the Rot Knights into a situation where they're fighting double Cold Wind Spear Riders and Colossal Hunters and getting shot. That is a huge combination here from the forces of the Lizardmen. But it still might not be enough, as the Chaos Lord leading these Rot Knights is still maybe going to take out all the cavalry and either rear charge in from Cold Wind Spear Riders, but a Miasma of Pestilence spreads through all these guys, lowers their melee attack enough that it might get them to rout, and they are not immune to psychology, so they're even starting to tear out a little bit. But still, those Salamanders firing in and just causing that constant little fire damage. Skink cohorts all getting wrecked by the Nurgle Sorcerer, just distracting him for a bit. Now the Salamander's getting charged by the Marauder Horsemen. Nice job using those Skirmish Cavalry as hybrid units. They're not just range, they can also jump into melee. As more and more units from Lizardmen are terror routing away, we do get an Apotheosis trying to heal up the Cold Wind Spear Riders just a little bit and keep them in it, as the Rotting Riders and the other Rot Knights harassing Mazdamundi, forcing him back. Does he have Ruination of Cities or Banishment up? He might, and if he could throw it right there, that would do so much damage. A little bit of friendly fire, but who cares at this point? I mean, your enemy is all blobbed up here, so Ruination of Cities would be huge. There is a Banishment. It's going to slurp up so many Marauders and Marauder Horsemen. Does it go inwards or does it go outwards? It's going outwards! Mazdamundi betrayed by the great plan. The great plan is that you lose this game, my friend. As the banishment goes off into nowhere, abandoning the Lizardmen to their fate. I have not seen a Fecundity from Nurgle yet, so I imagine one is coming soon for these Rot Knights and Rotting Riders. Mazda should still have a Ruination of Cities, and this is still an unholy clump that needs to be punished. Nurgle needs to be punished for clumping up this bad. This is a mistake. If Mazda has the resources to shut them down. There comes a Ruination of Cities. Maybe the great plan was just waiting for a different spell to come as the Rot Knights start running away. 1 good cast, 2 good casts, 3 pretty good casts. That's about the best Mazdamundi could hope for. It is weird to say this versus Nurgle, but the longer this game goes on, the more it favors the Lizardmen. Mazdamundi and Apotheosis is just more consistent and reliable healing than tier 2 Fecundities of Nurgle are. We have a full health Kroxigor. We still have Clostodon Hunters occasionally diving back in. We still have some infantry as well trying to help out. Still in the background, a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Nurgle is just distracting these Skink Skirmishers. Luna should honestly peel one of them away and just start firing over here, but we'll see what ends up happening with that, as another Overcast Net of Amnatox trying to lock everybody in place. It'll get Mazdamundi to safety, but also keep these Rot Knights and Rotting Riders on top of a bad fight with Red Crested Kings chopping away at them. In come the Lizardmen reinforcements, rallying Cold One Knights, even going to get a little bit of an apotheosis. They charge uphill onto netted Rotting Riders. Uphill, not great. Charging onto netted targets is great. And the damage value is still incredibly even. Now, it is Conquest, and no one gives a single crap about that point, but that point is there if anybody feels like participating with it. The Rot Knights crazy low on HP, but leadership is doing okay for now as the Rotting Riders are thinking about turning around and fighting. Cursed Leper is up, but they have not turned back to fight just yet. Still a full health Crocscore trying to guard Mazdamundi as the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. I keep doing that because I'm so used to being a Sorcerer Lord. The Chaos Lord of Nurgle, the Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle are separate things in this game, but the Chaos Lord of Nurgle, bypassing a lot of the bodyguards. Now he is stuck fighting the Crocscores. They're very healthy. I don't know if he wants this fight in the long term. He is going to try and path out. The Rotting Riders stuck fighting on the high ground as Cold One Spear Riders attempt to drag these guys to the dirt. Cursed Leper giving them a little bit more armor as another charge in for the Clostodon Hunters. Apotheosis down into some of the Cold One Spear Riders, trying to keep them in the fight, but it is too late. They already terror out and they shatter, taking an Apotheosis with them. So unfortunately, a bit of a whiffed spell cast there. And a Miasma of Pestilence onto the Clostodon Hunters. Probably going to seal their fate as well. I don't know if we can finish the Rotting Riders. I don't know if you can kill a Chaos Lord. But man, everybody is so depleted in this game as Crocscores wade their way into Pestigores. Just going to murder these guys in a quick little shower of blood and get them out of here to simplify the battlefield a little bit for the Lizardmen. Mazdamundi's out on his own. Can't tell if he's baiting or not. Does not look like he's baiting as he's trying to run away from the Chaos Lord of Nurgle. Net comes in just before he would have closed in and gotten into melee with Mazdamundi. But there's a lot of nets being cast. Some are even overcast. We know there's not a lot of apotheosis left. And that was why I was going to say the longer this game is on, the more it favors the Lizardmen, as I thought they were just going to heal spam all their stuff, but they are mixing in a good number of nets. I mean, this net is going to wear off way before the Crocscores get into melee, and the Chaos Lord once again starts running straight for Mazdamundi. I'm surprised Mazda didn't run towards his own Crocscores, but this is the final fight of Lizardmen. If the Crocscores can manage to kill all this stuff, they'll be okay. They get an Apotheosis and a Shield of the Old Ones, but a Miasma of Pestilence, that just keeps getting spammed out, takes them down to 5 melee attack. They are now under attack by 2 different Rot Knights. Mazda's going to die to the Chaos Lord consistently, and these Skink Skirmishers were just not able to find a good place to really sit and pin cushion the Rotting Riders. Crocscores get routed off, and that is going to be GG. Game 1 goes to Nurgle. I was checking on chat while the army losses took place. I finished my tea. No more tea for old human boy. Basic Crocscores did okay. Jackerskins did okay. Salmon Hunting Pack did alright. Skink Skirmishers did alright. Golden Spears did okay, and so did the Clostodon Hunters. So really good spread out damage value across this build. For Nurgle, Chaos Lord of Nurgle, not a ton of value on him, but he was just there to cast buffs on Rot Knights over and over again. Same with the Sorcerer. Marauders and Pestigores did fine, but the Rot Knights, both of them got really good value. Skirmish Cav did fine as well. GG. As they set up for game 2, it's Photoshop time. Bim bam boom. It's game 1. Lizardmen are out. Still have Tomb Kings and Wood Elves. See what Luna can do here. Tomb Kings versus Khorne. I'm gonna grab a sparkling water. Sparkle. Khorne's ready. I saw Tomb Kings ready a second ago, so they're probably ready in a second. There they go. All right, I'll be right back. I'm back. Oh! Ah! Ah! I spilled it! No! No! Stream canceled. Spilled it. Spilled it. Oh, you guys are still on the desktop. You're on the game. There you go. You're on the game now. Oy, 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 oy. Jeff Bardu, okay, it's been a banger stream so far. You came in on the one meta matchup. How dare you? Tomb Kings versus Khorne. For Khorne, looks like they're going with infantry spam, triple Skull Reaper. We have the Bloodwake Berserker, Wrathmonger, ROR, Marauders with dual weapons, and then Minotaurs with great weapons, 3 of them, and then Valkyria the Bloody. Very simple, straightforward Khorne build. Let's go slap. On the other side for the Tomb Kings, we have Skeleton Horse Archers, Skeleton Spearmen, 3 Skeleton Archers, the Kepra Guard, Sporkle Stalkers, and the Sphinx Usef. So we do have double cat. Protection and Curse Blades are his 2 spells. I almost look for spells in the Sphinx. That's not a thing. Then we have a Bone Giant. I am a little worried for this Khorne build when it's double cat, because the cats can kill a lot of Khorne's infantry if they keep themselves safe from the 3 Minotaurs. Basically, dodge the Minotaurs, and Cetra can clean up this whole build. So we'll see. Khorne's got to find a way to get those Minotaurs onto the Sphinxes outside of Skeleton Spears. That is the win condition. Not sure what the Bone Giant's going to be shooting at. I don't hate it in this build, I just don't know what it's going to be shooting at. Probably Minos? I think it kills a Minotaur with every shot. Not a whole unit, obviously, I mean just a model. Wow, it can one-shot a whole unit? Wow. He's actually shooting for the Bloodwake Berserkers. I guess they only have 32 models. Yeah, he just sniped out one of them. I mean, I would still rather shoot Minotaurs, but I don't hate it. It's fine. The Bone Giant thought he was fighting for the Arrow Skull Cannon. Yeah, for sure. No. I wasn't trying to say it shouldn't be in this build. I was just saying I don't know what it's going to shoot at seeing the Khorne build. Because it should not shoot at Valkyria. It can't hit Valkyria. It just flat out can't. It might hit once in a while, but that's way too inconsistent to waste your time shooting at it. I like this a lot, that he's shooting at the Bloodwake Berserkers. So they're taking out 4 of their 32 models. I also really like taking basic archers into Khorne, because Khorne loves to spam their new units. Skull Reapers and the Wrathmongers don't see a lot of play, but they do into Tomb Kings relatively recently. So the archers will do well against those guys, the Bloodwake Berserkers, charging in. Those guys can kill a lot of skeletons, and they can kill a lot of skeletons quite fast. So here come the Skull Reapers as well. Zoom in, get a little shot of them cleaving through skeleton bodies. They're big old chain swords. And Cetra commits to the fight briefly, but he has tons of skeleton support. He's fine. He can pull out immediately, so he is good. He's good to go. Meanwhile, we still have archers firing at the Skull Reapers, Bloodwake Berserkers. Now the Bone Giant has moved to shooting towards Minotaurs, and I like that. Sporkle Stalker's moving up. Luna playing this game pretty crisp so far. And I have been talking about the Tomb Kings a lot. Khorne is just sprinting at you in melee. There's not a lot of tactics to discuss there. Like, holy crap, Kukinko is clicking on the skeletons and killing the skeletons. Oh my god. So, yeah, it is on the Tomb Kings. If they play this poorly, they'll lose. If they play this great, they'll win. Ushapti summon out straight into the front line, just trying to help out a bit, but the Sphinx Usef is overextended. Ooh, beautiful Spear Sleipnir from Valkyria is going to take out an entire Skeleton Archer. No shot they rally. They are going to crumble to their death. Just give them time. There they go. And Cetra is being committed to try and bail out the Sphinx Usef. I am very concerned about that, because you just sent exactly what the Minotaurs want to fight into the Minotaurs to save something else the Minotaurs want to fight from them, but like, they want to fight either of these guys. They're totally fine with it. As the Sporkle Stalker is peeled back by Valkyria, it's not able to lend support to Cetra. Cetra's trying to hold on as a Sword of Khorne comes down into the Kepra Guard. Big damage on the Kepra Guard. A little bit of damage on the Bloodwake Berserkers, but still nice overall as Khorne's getting a ton of kills off these skeletons. Now the Skeleton Archers are being forced back. Now the double Sphinxes are going to be able to peel off these Minotaurs soon and cleave through them, but still took a lot of damage onto Cetra to do so. Sporkle Stalker's going to fire where they can. And the Bone Giant's trying to shoot at Valkyria. I really don't like that, as you mentioned before. Skeleton Horse Archers rear charging the Skull Reapers. Get a little bit of damage down, but their melee stats are pathetic because, you know, Skeleton Horse Archers. So Cetra and the Sphinx trying to clean up the last of the Minotaurs, is giving himself some physical resistance to try and tank through this, and their leadership is low enough that they do start routing, though they keep coming back in and recharging. So that is a bit tricky. Ushapti Summon going to fight away soon. Sporkle Stalker stuck fighting Valkyria as the Bone Giant keeps trying to shoot, but he's getting obstructed by nothing. This is why I really didn't want him shooting at Valkyria. it's just so hard for him to hit that Infantry-sized Lord, and then he misses. Like, it's not what he's supposed to be shooting at, and he is having great difficulty. So I would like to see him picking off the last of the Minotaurs, picking off the Bloodwig Berserkers again if he can, because the Bloodwig Berserkers just murdered the Kepler Guard like it's nobody's business. Skeleton Horse Archers need to fall back and use the rest of their ammunition. This one is trying to rally, and it can be used to chase off these guys, though it doesn't look like it's going to. Other one's getting shut down too, so the Tomb Kings, couple mistakes here and there starting to cost them. Damage value is very even. Balance of power is slightly in the Tomb King's favor because of routing units, but if they all rally, they'll be fine. Skeleton Horse Archers rallied, but they were not used to chase down the Minotaurs. The Minotaurs will come back and get another charge off. I think the Skeleton Horse Archers are getting used in melee too quickly. Like, they're giving up their skirmish too early on as Cetra charges back into Minotaurs. Now Skeleton Horse Archers are going to come in. They're going to try and rear charge to knock the Minotaurs off their feet and rout them. But the Bloodwig Berserkers, the Skull Reapers are all still here. The Double Cats have no support left over. They just need a Cycle Charge to win at this point. And it is Conquest. There's no attacking rule. You can do that, but there's still enough mass. And the Bone Giant, what are you shooting at now, my friend? He's trying to shoot at a giant clump of infantry, but he's surrounded by Skull Reapers that are distracting him. Cetra's getting completely bodied by Valkia and the Minotaurs, and the Sphinx Usef comes back in to help out a little bit, but the Minos are here to stay. And Cetra's just too low. Yeah. Rip. So Cetra is dead, and without him, the Tomb Kings will fall. The Bone Giant's already surrounded by infantry, which is going to kill him in time. So it's do you believe the Sphinx Usef can kill all this stuff by itself? I would say not. And there's going to be army losses quite swiftly. Bloodwig Berserkers, 1400 value. Unstoppable by the Tomb Kings. Pretty close game there in the end, but Khorne had enough oomph. Cetra did pretty well. The skeletons all got massacred, but you knew that was coming as the archers tried to peel. Skeleton Horse Archers did pretty well. Sphinx did well. Bone Giant did do well. I hate to harp on it, but like just keeping that focused on the Minotaurs after the... Because after the initial combat started, it started trying to snipe Valkia, and it like just never hit her. I saw maybe one shot hit her. It was way more effective at shooting the Minotaurs, and we saw the Minos still were healthy enough to surround Cetra and the Sphinx and then just keep them in place, and that was really annoying for Cetra. So finishing plinking those guys off and giving Cetra and the Sphinx Usef the freedom to cycle charge these guys instead of getting stuck fighting them and like bogged down melee could have secured Luna the win. Skull Reapers did great at just clearing out all the skeletons, which is exactly what we needed them to do. GG. Players are setting up for game 3, but I'll take you to the Photoshop so you can see the official scoreboard. Luna's already down to just Wood Elves. Wood Elves have to beat Norska first, and then they'll have to beat Nurgle and Khorne for Luna to win this. So they're down 0-2. They can still come back if Wood Elves are going to kill everybody in front of them. Winner will fight Devil. Wood Elves are already ready. As we said, the first 3 matchups of each best of 5, the players knew ahead of time, so they might have soft prepped builds or thought of how they want to play it out. After that, if any factions are alive, then it's kind of guess as you go sort of deal. Did you see 1940 on a Skull Reaper? Yes, you did. Yes, you did did. I am rooting for the Wood Elves here because I want to see more games. So take that, Kukinko. I'm rooting against you for this game and the next game. And then game 5, I'm back to being impartial. I don't care who wins the series, but I do like more games. For the Wood Elves, the last hope of Aluna Lapruna, Dryad frontline, Wild Hunters Kurnos, and the Enigmas of Gyron Zotes. Then we have 2 Eternal Guard, 5 Glade Guard, mix of Starfire Shafts and Hagbane Tips. Then we have a Spellsinger of Shadows with Melkoths, and a Glade Lord with Pravenoth Rima and Arrow of Kurnos. On the other side, for Norska, not a faction we see too often, we do have double Chaos Frost Dragon, one of which is the Cold Voider. We have some Norskan Ice Wolves and Skin Wolves. Wulfric the Wanderer on horseback with just Sea Fang, a Firecaster with Burning Head and Flaming Sword of Ruin, 2 Marauder Horsemen throwing axes, and 1 singular Marauder. All the infantry Norska brought. Can you check the Norska unit count? It is 460. I would way rather be the Wood Elves here. I mean, it's a lot of Wood Elves, sorry, a lot of single entities and mobility from Norska, but without a determined frontline, like 1 Marauder, which is not a frontline make, you should be able to slow drip feed bodies into whatever, and get your archers firing. Now, the key to this, right, is to not focus on something has to be engaging in every direction at all the times or whatever, and then you just can't catch them, you get run around, and if Norska finds a hole, they'll, like, through here and shut down your archers. It's important to, like, engage somewhere or whatever, but then your archers can just blow apart the other flank. So all 5 of your archers or something, like, fire at whatever is not obstructed and kill it on the charge, and then you can turn all your archers back towards whatever's fighting over here and killing that. So, yeah, just don't spread your fire and you'll be okay. Let's go, Wood Elves. Why is my desk... No. Oh, the tea had honey in it. Okay. I had some tea on the side of my cup from taking it downstairs with me, and my desk was sticky. Nice Arrow of Kurnos onto the skin. Armored Skin Wolves. Ooh, armored. Okay. Armored Skin Wolves. Leaving one of them in the dust. A couple others are going to get back up and get moving. Let's go. We broke 100 viewers. Yeah! I did threaten my Discord that if we didn't get to 100 viewers, I was never streaming again, so I'll stream another day. Ooh, this could be really, really risky. If Pravenoth Rima is in range and Wulfric is sitting in front of all those archers, he is dead, so nice job getting away. Good Sea Fang, so risky business. Got it done. Blade Guard still max power, 90 out of 90 models, but half HP is always a good trade. And the Wood Elves have been slowly moving up towards the point that they can capture and force Norska to come hang out with them. Because Norska has superior mobility, breath attacks, flying, and healing Skin Wolves. You got to take that point. Like, you have to. Because that'll force them to not dink around all game. So the Wood Elves should move up that Eternal Guard. Just take the point and put Norska on a timer. Blade Guard getting good shots onto Skin Wolves. They do have Firewall moving, but only in one direction, so they're nice at running up and shooting at these guys. Good job there. There we go. Eternal Guard now moving up to go take the point. Like that a lot. And Archers firing at the Chaos Frost Dragon. Kukinko is doing a pretty good job getting a full surround. So I'm worried about their staying power. Because now, this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? There's nothing here. You don't need to keep your infantry here. There's no reason to. Now you can keep 1 or 2 in case of like Wulfric or something, but you need to reposition, turn your backline into your front line now. Because there's no Marauders coming to kill you. There's literally 1. So keep a Dryad and an Eternal Guard here, and then reposition a lot of your melee infantry into the backline. So I do think Liluna's got to re-tinker their formation right now. They're too spread out, and they're too disjointed. Like, this Eternal Guard is facing nothing. This Dryad's facing nothing. This Eternal Guard and this Dryad are facing, like, Wulfric and that, so those are fine. These guys need to turn. So Luna's got to really pivot. There's another Breath attack, hurts the Glade Guard. Sea Fang's back off cooldowns. So there's probably going to be a Sea Fang again soon. Bullied to watch computer games. Yeah. Isn't that the Wood Elf build? Non-ROR Zote's better, Earthblood instead of Regrowth? I think they wanted the higher stats. The Burning Head hurts these Glade Guard. Wood Elves are taking the point. So Norska has about 9 minutes. 9 minutes before that point is just going to auto-win for the Wood Elves. We'll see if they can get it done. Oh, Normally these games are played with unlimited time, but I guess a 20-minute timer when you've already captured it's going to be okay. But normally we don't have a timer on. Blade Guard with Hagbane Tips firing at Norska and Ice Wolves, but they are out of position, and some of the melee units getting left behind is going to be a bit of a problem. Now, the Enigmas of Ghyron being close enough to just force those dogs back. These guys took almost no damage on the charge, so that's okay. A breath attack in from the Cold Voider. Decent little poke. We have Dryads coming back into the fold, like that. Still a little spread out, though. Kukinko is taking some free damage on a Marauder Horse and Throwing Axes that don't seem to realize they're in range of these Starfire Shafts, so the Wood Elves just sneaking in a little bit more damage there. And they're still firing at these dogs and Skin Wolves. And while I've been pretty critical of how the Wood Elves are set up, it's not like Norska's gaining a lot here either. They're falling behind on damage value. And there have been some Breath Attacks and some Burning Heads and Sea Fangs and stuff used, but it's not like anything is routed off or anything like that. Wolfric's taking some damage here and there. Skin Wolves and Dogs are taking some damage here and there. Here we finally get our first big engagement. Wild Hunters of Kurnos quick to jump on this area. Meanwhile, Armored Skin Wolves down to half HP from the Glade Guard Starfire Shaft shooting at them. These other Glade Guard are going to turn around. But again, the Wood Elves are pretty spread, so it's going to take a while for these melee infantry to form up and get over here. Great charge from Wild Hunters of Kurnos, though. Going to push off the Norska and Ice Wolves quite easily. Nice Arrow of Kurnos into a blob. Going to hit a couple Skin Wolves, which is nice. Take those guys out. Another Sea Fang or Burning Head? Burning Head onto the Glade Guard. The Enigmas of Ghyron pivoting over towards that fight, but now, as soon as they leave, the Chaos Frost Dragon lands. Dryads wander out to kill the Marauders. That's fine. I mean, just go take them out, as archers will peel themselves away from the dogs. Flesh to Stone cast on the Wild Hunters of Kurnos, giving them 60% physical resistance as they fight these Skin Wolves. Should be able to peel those guys off, not piss them off. And come the Enigmas of Ghyron, and the Wood Elves feel like they've got this. This feels like it's going very, very well for them overall. Like, the lack of infantry from Norska, it can work. I'm not saying a build like that can never work, but it is difficult, and we can see why. Just everything that takes damage is going to end up being expensive. As the Wild Hunters of Kurnos start to charge down the Skin Wolves, they do charge uphill, but still they are getting a free rear charge onto the Skin Wolves, and they're faster, so these Skin Wolves can't actually get to safety as they're hit with the Starfire Shafts. Elsewhere, the Cold Voider and other Skin Wolves have rallied enough to take out these Hagbane Tips that briefly showed up, and Dryads continue to harass. Now, Wolfric jumps in. He gets Prey of Anoth Raymond briefly while he's already in Starfire Shafts. There's not going to be a lot of extra ranged tools killing him, but it was for the Eternal Guard to get over here and start poking at his shins. Still, the Wood Elves hold the point for now. There's not a lot of capture weight from Norska either. I mean, I know we only had one Marauder, but even thinking of that, I mean, like, Skirmish Cab aren't that great at capturing a point. Single entities aren't amazing at it either. Another Melkot's out on the Marauder Horseman throwing axes. The Wolfric continues to fight. Now the Enigmas are even here to provide a little bit of support. The one thing that's going well for Norska is the Archer focus. The Archers are pretty much gone. I see one. Oh, two. 63 models. 44 models. That's all the archers that are left. Other than that, the Wood Elves just have melee units. Really good charge on the Armored Skin Wolves. Wild Hunters of Kurnos getting good damage out while they get a regrowth from the Enigmas of Ghyron. Gonna get landed on by the Cold Voider. No, the Cold Voider is gonna breath attack first. Do they dodge? They do not. So they take that full damage on the head, but honestly, Wolfric took a little bit of friendly fire there too. The Wood Elves are all out of range units to protect. You just gotta cluster up on the point. You gotta group up on the point and try and hold. You are 5 minutes away from victory as the Enigmas of Ghyron charge in as well. The Wild Hunters of Kurnos lose their leadership just enough to tear her out as we have some Dryads and Eternal Guards starting to return to the fight. A couple of them are sleeping on the job. They got to get moving. They got to get back in here as the Zodes continue to fight it out. But Norska is just going to path away and try and chase down the Wild Hunters of Kurnos, who did rally only to rout yet again in the face of evil. Enigmas of Ghyron turning around to try and get the Skin Wolves. There's a Prey of Anoth Raymond to lock them in place, allow the Enigmas to get in here, but Zotes being Zotes, they're going to clump up on themselves and not get a really good surround. So we'll see how much damage even comes out onto the Skin Wolves. But, oh, okay, we still have some Starfire Shaft shooting up over, reducing their healing, getting that extra damage out. And the Dryads still wandering around the flanks, trying to, like, hunt down dogs. I don't really know what those Dryads are doing. They got to come home. That them boy gotta come home. Skin Wolves might die off as the Enigmas get attacked by double Chaos Frost Dragon. And a Burning Head or a Sea Fang? Burning Head, I think. Down the line. It curves into the Eternal Guard. Okay, that is very lucky. We all saw it. That thing, as I get my arrow out, was going this way, and it turned into those Eternal Guard. All right, okay, I see. The Dark Gods favor Norska over the Wood Elves here and want us to not go to a Game 4 or a Game 5. The Chaos Frost Dragons are now stuck just fighting Enigmas, fighting infinite amounts of spears. There's a lot of Dryads, and I just don't know if Norska has the crowd clearing to kill all of these extra units, as we still have some Glade Guard Starfire Shafts rallying on the far side enough to shoot at Frost Wolves. Norskan Ice Wolves, whatever. Hunters Kurnos getting picked off. Still the point ticks up for the Wood Elves. And the Enigmas are vibing. Ooh, that's going to be a nasty breath attack on 2 clumped up Eternal Guard. Frost Dragons have been using breath attacks like nobody's business. They've got to be out, right? Yes, they're both out. No more breath attacks for you. Wolfrek, do you have Sea Fangs still? No Sea Fangs. All right, so most of the single-use things and whatnot are all gone. Zotes get their flesh to stone. And they disable magic attacks from anything near them, so they should be fine as another Burning Head goes through all these guys. Good damage onto the Dryads, but not enough to actually kill them off. So the double Chaos Frost Dragon just getting whittled away, poked down, slowly but surely, as there's also still Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts back there. Firing away. Man, I feel like we're dealing with Dwarven Iron Drakes. You just can't get rid of these Glade Guard, apparently, as the Burning Head manages to get all the way over there and tickle them a bit and give them burnt leadership debuffs. But still, not enough to actually get them. No way you took off while surrounded by Dryads and netted. I feel like flying units always take off. I can't just keep them on the ground. Bullies. Skinwolves stuck in more spears. They start to run away. Get their loping strides going. This little Spellweaver just... Oh, you just tumble to the ground. Whatever, Spellsinger of Shadows. Whatever, dude. Let's see. 150 divided by 60. 2.5 minutes left for Norska to try and turn this around. Balance power is slightly against them. And they are trying to delay a little bit and give Skinwolves some time to regenerate up, but they are on fire from the Starfire Shaft, so half their healing is gone. And Melkoth's doing a little bit more damage to them, so just making sure that Norska has to engage sooner than they want to, as other armored Skinwolves are still running around, still trying to regenerate, as we said before. Norska was going to try and delay this game, which is why the Wood Elves needed to take that point nice and early. Chaos Frost Dragon lands on the Wild Hunters of Kurnos, gets them to Terror Route. Not a natural route, though. These guys do rally. Norskan Ice Wolf is going to take out the last of the Glade Guard once and for all. They are so sick of the Wood Elf Archers creeping back into this game and constantly applying that. Oh, there is another one! They just can't get rid of these archers. Wood Elves getting a little spread out. Again, they got to form up around the point. We can't be wandering away into Nowheresville. These Skinwolves are faster. They're going to get to safety. They're going to regenerate. But the only hope Norska has is taking this point from you. So you don't have to cluster up around it like so crazy close that everybody gets hit at the same time by stuff. But like wandering Eternal Guard out into nowhere is not what you need to be doing right now. Cold Void are going to land in next to Wolfrek on the Enigmas of Ghyron. Wolfrek himself is not actually in melee combat yet. I don't know if they know he's not, as he gets rear charged by the Glade Lord. Now a bunch of Eternal Guard are in. I am shocked the balance of power is this favorable towards Norska. I honestly think it should be nearing army losses level. As still, we have Glade Guard in the distance, firing, because they always are. And these Skinwolves, as angry as I am that these guys are still here, plow into them. They'll take out this Glade Guard once and for all, and that'll be it. No more Glade Guard. No more. They're all gone as Wolfrek and the Cold Voider fight, but Norska and Kukinko are going to throw in the towel. Quick questions for the Season 7 playoffs. Game Slaves on 3/29. Is there new player conquest on the same date and time? I'm in that one as well. How's that going to work? Spotify, I feel like we've talked about this a few times. The playoffs is play as you can, 1 game per week. You schedule as you want to. It's just like the start date is that Saturday, but you have multiple days to play your game. You don't have to play them on Saturday. All right. Wolfrek and his caster did pretty well. Armored Skinwolves did okay. Chaos Frost Dragons did very well, but Wood Elves will prevail. Yeah. Spotify, you're going to be fine. It's play as you can, not all play them on Saturday. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question for you. Similar to Jackerskins, but his was Vampire Coast. Can La Luna Lapruna's Wood Elves carry them to victory? 3-0 from the Wood Elves. Can they take down Nurgle and Khorne? So Kukinko still up 2-1 in the series. It is a best of 5, 2-1. La Luna Lapruna gets to pick who they fight next because their Wood Elves have to beat both factions regardless. It doesn't matter. So in the interest of trying to get a game 5, I do let the player who is down pick their next opponent. Again, it's not really that advantageous because you have to beat them both, so who cares? But they are going to pick Khorne, so they're more confident they can beat Khorne than Nurgle. See if Luna can take us to a game 5. I'm going to put up the poll that I put up for Jack. Can Wood Elves hold? Yes or no? All that means is can they kill everything? How's the Wood Elves versus Nurgle matchup? I think it's really bad for Nurgle, but Luna might not think so if they're taking on Khorne first. I would agree with Kukinko, though. Kukinko in chat is weighing in. I think Khorne is their best shot of winning at this point. Because if you get into Wood Elves Nurgle, I would way rather be Wood Elves personally. But I don't know. All right, BRB. BRB. Bam, I'm back. What's a bad matchup for Khorne? Yeah, Dark Elves is pretty miserable. Dark Elves Khorne is pretty freaking bad. I had a question from one of the players I had to read quick. Jepardu is back. Hi, back. Dwarfs. Oh, okay, dwarf. Oh, okay, dwarfs. Oh. Oh, you mean versus Khorne? Got it. I was like, you're just saying dwarfs, just throwing it out there. Hey guys, by the way, dwarfs. Oh, Jepardu's saying hi back is, and I got it. Okay. I understand now. Nope. Yeah, I got it, Jep. I got it. I understand. Alrighty, Valkia the Bloody, Karanak the Spooky Dog, and is that the ROR Skull Cannon I see? That is the ROR Skull Cannon, and I do see it. Wood Elves have ways of dealing with the ROR Skull Cannon, but it is a powerful tool, as always. Bim bam boom. Pretty small builds here, so not a whole lot to really wait for them to set up. 2 Chaos Knights of Khorne, the Hellforged Bellowers, Skull Cannon ROR, Bloodwake Berserkers, and some Marauders of Khorne, 4 Chaos Furies, and Valkia. Very small build from Khorne, 515 models. On the other side, only 1,000 models. We do have Glade Riders, Sisters of the Thorn, so 3 Glade Riders, 1 Sister of the Thorn. We have a Waywatcher, a couple of Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts for that magic armor-piercing fire damage, Dryads, and then an Eagle Glade Lord. Still Prey of Anathrema, still Arrow of Kronos, but not on foot this time. And then a Beastcaster with just Flock of Doom. Cool. 1 Wild Rider, 2 Wild Riders, one of which is Wild Hunters Kronos. We take those. We take those. So, if you use your Arrows of Kronos onto the Hellforged Bellowers, and if you use your Prey of Anathrema on it when it's in range of the Waywatchers, you'll be fine. If you don't do that, you might have a bad time dealing with the Hellforged Bellowers. Hellforged Bellowers not that good versus your Cavalry, but it can take out your Dryads and your Archers quite easily. Yeah. That thing has Fire at Will on. It's going to start the game and immediately shoot at a Dryad. I like the Khorne build. I think if the Wood Elves shut down the ROR Skull Cannon, this game is over. But I think if Khorne can keep it alive, it can like literally carry the whole game. Instant fire. Ooh! Did not hit the Glade Guard as much as it normally does. Unfortunate first volley for Khorne. And 54% of you think the Wood Elves can 3-0 all of Kukinko's factions. Another shot. Hits the ground a couple times, only a slight amount of damage. So far the ROR Skull Cannon not living up to its normal level of dominance. Hellforged Bellowers did take a little bit of damage. The Glade Lord not being too aggressive about getting in range for Arrows of Kronos or Prey of Anathrema, just kind of letting the Hellforged Bellowers go. This is not going to be like the Norska game. You can't just capture the point and wait this out. The Hellforged Bellowers do too much damage. There's an Arrow of Kronos, and it's used on the Bloodwake Berserkers. And now we have Waywatchers clumped up onto Dryads. If the Hellforged Bellower shoots at this 2-for-1, those little fire vortexes would do so much damage. Or Valkia can get a Spear of Sleipnir. Yeah, he switches targets onto the Waywatchers immediately now that he can see them. The Waywatchers are trying to fire back. I don't know if they're shooting at the Bloodwake Berserkers or the Hellforged Bellowers, but we need to get a Prey of Anathrema down. You can't let this Hellforged Bellower scoot and shoot, because it will outshoot your Waywatchers. No! Why are we doing that? No! No! Don't use your Prey of Anathrema on a random Fury! The Hellforged Bellowers are there! No, man! Furies dive in. They're gonna take out the Waywatchers and the Glade Guard anyway, because there's 4 of them. You only can net 1. And the Hellforged Bellowers is now free firing away. Oh, it happened to shoot at a Spellsinger, so that's a bit of a whoopsie. Now, the Furies will get killed by rear charges from these cavalry pieces. I think we started the game with 4. We're already down to 3 now that that one's about to die. We do have some skirmish cav firing against the Chaos Knights, but I think Khorne's got this from this point. The Wood Elves just weren't disciplined enough in their shooting and their nets and their Arrows of Kronos and whatnot. So, yeah. Pray for the Blood God, netting the Glade Lord in place while the Skull Cannon shoots at it, but the Skull Cannon doesn't really do that much damage to single entities, so I'm kind of suspect on their priority. That it just hit Valkia full in the back. That was weird looking. But anyway, Valkia is going to body the Glade Lord as long as she's still netted. 4 seconds left on that. Wild Riders still trying to run away from Chaos Knights, who have taken a lot of damage, to be fair. And Chaos Furies have also taken a lot of damage. The Hellforged Belarus continues to fire on the far side. Sisters of the Thorn just shooting at it right now from a distance, getting a good bit of damage out. I don't know if going into melee is better or not, because it regens in melee, but you're also using Horsemen, which it generally doesn't like. The Glade Lord did not escape from the net in time. It did route. Now Valkia has less speed than it, and in the air usually charge speed isn't as much of a thing, so that Glade Lord should come back in a bit, but I don't know if it matters. More Flocks of Doom's getting spammed out, but Karanak sees his target. He's going to make sure that lady can't cast Flock of Doom for the rest of the game. And then we do have the Wild Hunters of Kronos against a Chaos Knight and the Bloodwreck Berserkers. They'll lose that quite handedly. I think Kukinko will be going to the finals. Blade Lord is back. I don't know if he'll get orders to run away fast enough, though, as Valkia does catch up to it and starts spearing in the sky. Still the Sisters of the Thorn firing away. Karanax now silence this lady. Can't cast Flock of Doom no more. For the Wood Elves, it's just a couple light skirmish cav left, and that is not enough to win a whole game on. The Hellforged Belarus are going to chase off the Way Watchers, get some more ammo, get some regen in, make sure those guys can't come back. Ravenoth Rainbow cast onto Valkia, let the Glade Lord escape to safety. And the Hellforged Belarus get another shot onto the Dryads. Honestly, didn't do that much damage this game. Like, compared to how it normally does, a lot of its shots went wide. Still did pretty well value-wise. I was just saying, for how many shots it got off onto targets that weren't moving or something like that, a lot of them missed. A lot more than usual. Homing shots smoked the Glade Lord in motion, in flight, causing army losses. That is GG. Khorne OP. Khorne OP. Yeah, pretty middling value for all the Wood Elf units. Nothing really standing out. On the other side, Bloodwreck Berserkers, Chaos Knights both did well. Chaos Furies did their jobs. Hellforged Belarus did fine. Yeah. GG. Kukinko will go to finals. Kukinko is the host, so I'm probably just going to stay here as I take you guys to the desktop with me. So let's get rid of all the marker. Oh, shush. All right, so Jack and Luna are joining my guy up there. And we'll have Kukinko versus Devil for the finals. Throw a versus there. Get rid of the other one. Put it on my ear. Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, let's do this. Bump. 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 Oh, let's do this. So then I have the maps pinned for the players. Finals will be on. There. Players have been informed. All right, Devil's here. Nice. I'm going to check chat. Hi, chat. Final best of 5. Which of these players is winning the new player ultimate Giga Chad super amazing tournament? Is it Devil or Kukinko? Kukinko 33. Devil has stronger, more meta factions. Ogres and Tomb Kings are top tier. Lizardmen are strong. While on the other side, Kukinko has 2 near the bottom of most people's tier list in Norska and Nurgle. You can debate where they are, but no one is saying they're like B or A tier. It's usually a discussion between C and D. And then there's Khorne, who is very strong. Do not get me wrong, but one strong faction and two borderline weak factions versus two meta and one strong. That is tough. And Devil's a fearsome opponent. But we'll see if Kukinko's got some tricks, got some schemes. River Amixon is the first map. If you care, River Amixon, then Schwarzhofen, then Lost Crater, then Reichland Estates, and finally Galdaraz. Tomb Kings being top tier shows the difference between single player and multiplayer. Yeah. Oh, hi, Mark. Don't make him play Ogre Kingdoms versus Nurgle. It'll be a massacre. That's how the blind pick went. That's how it went. The players knew what it was before this started. Can't change the rules now. Kukinko, if you're still listening, we usually have the time limit as unlimited. Just so you know. Not that games ever go to 20 minutes, but if it hits 20 minutes, it'll end in a draw, and that's awkward. You rigged the blind pick. That is, oh, yep, that's me. I do that. Yep. Yep. All right, Devil's ready. Kukinko was ready, and then they had to change the time limit, but we're good. The meta for top tier is different each battle type, right? Slaanesh meta just for domination. Conquest and land battle are roughly the same as far as like strong factions go. Nuances of how they're played are a little different, but generally the same factions are still strong. Domination's quite different. Yeah, you're right, because like, I mean, Slaanesh is apparently overpowered in Dom, and in land battles, they're very middle of the road. They're not bad. Like, kids these days, these youngins say mid when something is unfavorable. Like, that movie was mid. They don't actually mean it was mid. They mean it sucked. I don't mean Slaanesh sucks. I mean they're smack dab the middle of factions in land battles and Conquest. Try Black Orcs versus Dwarves. 40 plus minutes to kill each other. Black Orcs with great weapons, however. Big damage. So, Ogre Kingdoms versus Nurgle for game one. For Kukinko, we have Forsaken of Nurgle, and then Plague Toads. A Chaos Lord, and a Sorcerer. The Sorcerer has Fleshy Abundance and Curse of the Leper, and then more Plague Toads. So Plague Toads, Forsaken, as far as the eye can see. Ooh, there we go. 2 Skirmish Cav and the Rotting Riders, Rot Knight ROR. What game mode is best for Skaven mains? Probably land battles or Conquest. I haven't heard many good things about them in Domination, but in land battles, they're solid. They're above average. You know, aside from the Ogres, we have Ogre Bulls with dual weapons, Piggyback Riders, Nobblar Trappers, 2 Mournfang Cav with great weapons, 2 Lead Belchers. Is there a third? Nope, just 2. 2, and then a Slaughtermaster of Death with Fate of Buna and Spirit Leech. More Nobblars on the front line. Okay. To be fair, Slaanesh sucking sounds lore friendly. Yeah, dude. Yeah, CS100. I'm here for it. I'm mentally prepared for Slaanesh to be second. Also, because I hate my units getting rampaged, but for whatever weird NSFW thing you're inferring as well. That's fine. It's all fine.
No speeches.
Alrighty, let's go. Slaughtermaster of Death immediately pops extra ingredients. Start charging up a nice early Fate of Buna that he's going to want to throw on the Rotting Riders as soon as possible. Can the Forsaken and Plague Toad rush overcome the Ogres? Honestly, maybe. Not gonna guarantee it. Ogres are crazy strong, but just looking at this build, it's not like there's a ton of armor-piercing anti-infantry. We have Ogre Bulls with dual weapons, not Iron Guts or Man-Eaters. And the Lead Belchers would kind of like this to last a while, but if the Forsaken and the Plague Toads just blitz straight through them, they won't get a lot of time to shoot. Mournfang Cav with great weapons, just chilling, waiting for anybody to come out of the trees. And Nurgle is trying to advance through the trees, but this is the, I mean, not the problem, but if your opponent was holding a static position here, it'd be fine, because then you're going to come out of the trees and have less time for the Lead Belchers to shoot you. But Devil just pivoted, so now you have the same amount of time, it's just your quote-unquote spawn zone is in the trees, and their spawn zone is on the cliffs or whatever. You still have to come out of the trees to engage them, and they're the ones sitting on the point, so it's like, alright, hang out in the forest if you want to. I'll be here. Lead Belchers are wandering over, trying to get in range so they can counterfire the Martyr Horsemen of Nurgle. We're gonna grind them to paste. Bah, 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 bah. I'm an ogre and I am mad. Forsaken and the Toads starting to hibbity-hop their way out of the forest, deciding, well, it was worth a try to get the flank off, but it's not gonna happen. Lead Belcher's still trying to position to fire at those Marauder Horsemen. In go the Forsaken. Noblars and Piggyback Riders awaiting their destiny. And both Lead Belcher's going to fire at the Rot Knights, who are trying to retreat now and get to safety. Which is fine. Nurgle should win the frontline fight here. Forsaken should blend through Piggyback Riders and Noblars pretty easily. So as long as the Lead Belchers aren't supporting the frontline fight, this is pretty good for Nurgle, honestly. They're taking a lot of free wins right now. As the Lead Belchers and a Fate of Buna, good job onto the Rotting Riders. That is very, very nice. And they're so clustered up, they're going to take a lot of damage. Here comes a Fleshy Abundance to counter the Fate of Buna. Rot or Die, also giving them a little bit more leadership. The Lead Belchers are going to continue to fire, and they are very clumped up. But you can see, like, the Forsaken and the Plague Toads blitz through the Noblars. They're even fighting the Piggyback Riders quite well for now. Other Piggyback Riders getting charged by these guys. The Ogre front line is holding, mostly on the backs of the Ogre Bulls themselves. But the Rotting Riders are actually trying to path their way through, trying to get to the Lead Belchers, but now they're probably in over their head. Piggyback Riders are terror routing, but they'll come back, and then you'll be fighting on enemy Spear Infantry with Mournfang Cav hitting you in the face, and actually just gonna rout the Rotting Riders. Wow! Their leadership went away quite quickly. That is pretty terrible for Nurgle. Nurgle's winning on the low ground, even cleaving through the Ogre Bulls with dual weapons. Getting onto some of the Nobbler Trappers and stuff, that's going quite well. But the Rotting Riders already routing is a bit of a disaster. Now the Lead Belchers just kite away. Devil is up about 2 to 1 on damage value. Not that surprising. And I hate to call it this early, but that is looking a bit like GG. The Rotting Riders just overextending and then dying is... It is what it is, but that's really rough to lose those guys. So it's like... Maybe you'll win this low ground fight from this point, but you're going to come out of it so wounded, and then the Lead Belcher's just going to fire downhill into you this whole time. And the Slaughtermaster will kite as best he can, keep Spirit Leeching your lord and hero. Lead Belcher's having a hard time seeing over that cliff face, but now that they do, they get some good cannon shots down into the Forsaken. Good old-fashioned cannon shots. We do have Mournfang Cav here that are doing surprisingly well, considering how long they've been grinding with a bunch of random things, but soon gonna kill that Plague Toad, and the Forsaken maybe kill the Mournfang Cav. The Mournfang Cav don't cycle charge at all, but I don't know. They could also just cycle charge a little bit. Elsewhere, we're losing Plague Toads, we're losing Forsaken. We do have a good Lord Snipe coming in from Nurgle. Trying to kill off the Slaughtermaster. Really good throwing axe volley, plus the 2 heroes hitting that guy. Spirit Leech out, but he is going to rout, and now they can chase him off. So that is a rare win for Nurgle. I don't know if it came soon enough, though, as we still have 2 extremely healthy Mournfang Cav, 2 extremely healthy Lead Belchers as well, and a bunch of Nobblar Trappers. Killing the Lord alone, don't know if it turns this all the way around. As he's just getting stabbed in the back. Ogre Kingdom still hold the point. Nurgle almost conquered it for a little bit, but Leadbelcher's going to force back the skirmish cav that we're thinking of going and getting a little frisky. Slaughtermaster has shattered, so we know he's not coming back, but will he die? Not look like Nurgle's going to dedicate the time to that. He's already pretty close to the edge of the map, and looks like they have other things they want to be doing with their time. Never seen this map get played on landscape mode before. Yeah, not portrait mode. I watched too much Anticity. You convinced me that Forsaken can save this. No, they definitely can't. Mornfang Cav gonna charge straight into the Chaos Lord. The final fight for Nurgle, but it is pretty doomed. As they even get a Massacre cast onto them. Plus 24 melee attack, plus 25% more damage. And they are just slapping through the hero. GG. Ogre's pretty strong. Ogre Bulls with weapons did fine. Nalbert Harpers did fine. Leadbelchers did well. Mornfang Cav did fine. The other side for Nurgle, as chat saying, it is a tricky matchup to say the least. Pretty creative build. Did their best. But they got the worst matchup out of the way. Nurgle's out. On to Khorne Tomb Kings. Now, you can't tell me this one's unwinnable, because we literally just saw it played versus La Luna. Kukinko won it. So it's possible. And then Lizardmen Norska, that's doable for Norska. I'd say it's Lizardmen favored, but like 55-45. Norska have a couple different ways of taking down the big dinosaurs. Their infantry is better. Skinwolves can trade very well into Cold One Cav. They got options. They ain't out of this. Super high tier Cav just gets sniped every time. I'm starting to think they might not just be worth it these days. Yeah, Spanner. They were very powerful for a while, like when the Fireborn first got reworked, Wild Hunters Kronos got reworked, Demigryph Knights with Halberds got reworked, all that stuff. But then, like, they dominated the meta for a bit, and then everybody learned to just take a bunch of things that counter them, like Fate of Buna, Leadbelchers, but those obviously aren't on every faction. But, like, when I play Lizardmen into High Elves, I have this combo that I like where I take a Death Slan with Fate of Buna and Spirit Leech, and then I take Blood Statue to Spite. And if you cast Blood Statue to Spite and Fate of Buna on the same Fireborn, like, they just die instantly. Pretty hilarious, but yeah, no Fireborn for you. So, here's the thing, Tayo. As a Skaven main, I'm down to nerf Fate of Buna. I hate that spell. It insta-kills any of my Jezzails. There's a reason I don't get to take Jezzails anymore. It's because every faction in this game has death magic. Every faction in this game could just take Fate of Buna and get 1,000 guaranteed gold just point and clicking on my Jezzails. Because one Fate of Buna still straight up kills them. They don't rally. They don't come back. They're just off the map. I hate it. I don't think it's bad for the game. I just think it's bad for Skaven, but Fate of Buna is a pretty unfun, uninteractive spell. I hope it gets some nerfs. I don't hope that it gets, like, nerfed into the ground, because it is nice to be able to take something that kills elite units, because if you have to kill certain elite units, especially ones that can heal in melee, it can be pretty toxic if there's no way to deal with them at range. So, I think Fate of Buna should exist, but it's currently a little too accessible. Too easy to just kill important stuff. All right. Kukinko is reprising their build that beat Luna, not changing at all. That can be risky in the same stream, because it's like, do you take the same build that works for you and you've practiced, or do you switch it up so your opponent doesn't know exactly what's coming? But looks like they're going to just double down on knowing how to play their build. And the Tomb King is going to go with a different way of fighting this, not double cat. They're taking one cat, a couple more range tools, and Grand Hierophant Kotep. And considering how small his army is, I'm guessing he's on his DJ booth. Contrarian Codex, how am I holding up? I'm doing great, dude. I'm doing fine. Why? Why? Who? Why are you asking? What? What did somebody say? No, I'm kidding. How do you cope? Because I'm a Skaven Gisele's lover? I haven't gotten to play them in a while. The meta right now for Skaven is like a Flinsing Runecaster of some kind or a Grey Seer. And then usually a bunch of Night Runners, Rat Ogres, couple Wolf Rats, Clan Rat Frontline, some Globes here and there, Warp Lightning Cannons, Doom Flayers. That's roughly it with some mild exceptions, but Gisele's generally aren't taking that much right now, unfortunately. Just park Gorge next to your weapons teams for the spell resist. Ah, Olaf, that's a really good reason to sink 2,400 gold into Gorge. Khorne's gonna have to scrap this one out for sure. Oh, they're gonna win. Khorne's gonna win. Khorne's gonna win, actually. Khorne wins. DJ booth, not here. That is Horse Kotep. Where did all the money go? All right, we have 2 Sprockle Stalkers, one of which is the Eyes of the Desert. We have 2 Shopped Great Bows, one of which is the Chosen of the Gods. 2 regular Ushapti, melee variant, some Skeleton Spearmen, Sphinx Usef, and Kotep. Kotep with his Bound Sandstorm, and then Usirian's Incantation of Vengeance. On the other side for Khorne, we saw this build earlier today, but just to refresh your memories, 3 Marauders with dual weapons, 3 Skull Reapers, the Bloodwake Berserkers, triple Minotaur with great weapon, and Valkia. Khorne, Kukinko, the Khorne player, is currently down 1 game. They've lost their Nurgle. So if you want a nice long series, you are probably rooting for Khorne. Buff my MG42 Rattlings. Yeah, I think Rattling Gunners could use a buff. I think they could use a mild accuracy buff rather than damage, because their damage is fine if they hit stuff. My issue is they take forever to fire, they're very squishy, they're very expensive, and they don't hit stuff. So I wish that if I did everything and got them to fire, they would at least hit things. And like anything besides something that's like gigantic, because they hit gigantic stuff, which is why I don't want them to get a damage buff, because when they do hit stuff, they already do a lot. Anyway, focusing on the game, Incantation of Vengeance plus a Skull Storm. Gonna hit the Skull Reapers. Really wants to focus down that 1 Skull Reaper. Meanwhile, the Chosen of the Gods being used to shoot at Minotaurs' Great Weapons. I actually don't know how much damage those guys do to Minotaurs. I really don't. Maybe want to see them shooting at Bloodwake Berserkers instead, but yeah, they're doing all right. They're doing all right. Okay, good for you. Good for you. With that knowledge, then yeah, that's probably the right choice. Because like we said the last time we saw this build, the big thing you can do is kill all 3 Minotaurs, and then your Sphinx Usef can infinitely cycle charge for free through the infantry and do a lot of great work for you. But as long as the Minos are alive in some capacity, they can lock it in place and make it fight the Bloodwake Berserkers and Skull Reapers, which is not what you want at all. Other Sprockle Stalkers shooting at the Minotaurs. Really good target priority here from Devil. Yeah, seems to know his win condition. Sprockle Stalkers do get attacked by the Minos. And here comes the problem, is usually when these Skull Reapers and Bloodwake Berserkers and all that stuff finally get into melee, they massacre the Tomb King's front line super quickly. And then you get put on the back foot. And that is a bit of an issue. The last full health Minotaur is trying to path straight through. It's going to go fight melee Ushapti with the Sphinx Usef rear charging it. Ooh, that is very nice. Distract him with the Ushapti and then just charge him with your Sphinx. Yeah, that is great damage out there. The other 2 Minotaurs are a little busy. One got pushed away by the Sprockle Stalker ROR. The other one's going to beat the regular Sprockle Stalker, but it still has lost 2/3 HP. And really all you're trying to do is just set up so that the Sphinx Usef can carry the rest of the game. You aren't that concerned about your Sprockle Stalkers, to be honest. Third Mino has taken significant damage, is going to get pushed back now as the Chosen of the Gods are firing onto the Bloodwake Berserkers. Now that they fall back from the Skull Reapers. Bounce power is slightly in Tomb King's favor. Kukinko is catching up on damage value now that the melee has finally been joined. And I love that the Tomb Kings have lost 600 troops and Khorne has lost 200, but the bounce power favors the Tomb Kings because the 200 troops that Khorne lost are way more important than the skeletons. But the skeletons did get instantly massacred. Ushapti summon is out onto the Skull Reapers. We still have 1 regular melee Ushapti, 2. They're both still alive, but they're both at half HP fighting Minos. And now Khorne is just getting kited. This is the point of taking out the Minotaurs, is now your range stuff can outrun and kite. Your Necro Sphinx is going to cycle charge, and it'll be just fine. Minos will beat up on these Ushabti, should win even at their significantly reduced health pool, just because their stats are much higher than the Ushabtis, but we'll see if their leadership can hold. We'll see. Necrosphinx does not want to stay in the Skull Reapers or the Bloodwake Berserkers for too long, but the Tomb Kings have gotten a really good setup. Like, they are perfectly happy to kite the rest of this game out and just kill all the infantry of Khorne. Another bound Skullstorm going through these guys, which is quite nice. And then we do have a Spear Slopnir through the rest of these skeletons. Skull Reapers fighting a fake Ushabti. 30 seconds left till that'll fade away, and then the Skeleton Spear beneath him is already pretty much dead, so who cares? Valkia dives in, and this is huge for Khorne to try and get back in this game. Big damage on the Grand Hierophant Kotep. If they can finish that snipe somehow, some way, that could be a big step in getting them back into this game. Skull Reapers continuing to try and grind down the Chosen of the Gods as the regular Ushabti are running out of good targets to shoot at. Really, it's the Chosen of the Gods and the Sporkle Stalkers that'll do the good damage to the infantry of Khorne. You can see the Bloodwake Berserkers getting shot up at the Sporkle Stalkers. That explosion poison gas that these guys fire still does a lot of good work onto the Bloodwake Berserkers. Really good damage onto those guys. Apart from that stuff, Miss Linkenhauer Rowling Guns. Oh yeah, besides all that, they're great. What 3 things would you change about the current meta to improve it? What would you pick? Ranged units, more damage, almost across the board. Almost. Like, a lot of Skaven's weapons teams don't need more damage, but like, most archers in the game need to deal more damage. Because big single entities should be scared of getting pincushioned by archers, and currently the damage isn't enough so that they can usually just tank through it, usually. I would... Ooh, nice Unbreakable here. Relentless Rage giving the Minotaurs Unbreakable so they just get to fight the Sphinx to the last man, while Valkia continues to chase Kotep. So yeah, more damage on all ranged units pretty much. I would make it so, yeah, okay, in a perfect world, I would make it so missile chariots took appropriate damage when in melee, but a lot of units don't have charging animations. So like, they'll run up to something and they'll just continue to run at it until it stops, which can make it hard to kill Scourge Runner chariots, land ship, steam tank, things like that. So that'd be the second one if I could, and then the third one would be give collision attacks reduced damage versus armor. So like, the more elite an infantry is, it usually has more armor, and then like the Sphinx Usef or any big monster couldn't just cycle charge infinitely through heavy infantry and kill them off, but they could, big monsters could easily kill light and mid-tier infantry. But heavy infantry has been suffering for a while, and I think giving them a niche as like the monster killers would be pretty nice. Because they'd still be weak to like getting kited, they'd still be weak to spells and all that stuff, they'd still be weak to plenty of things. Anyway, focusing up, I decided to answer that question because we were just watching the Ushabti kite away. Valkia and her Skull Reapers getting good damage on Sphinx Usef, and the Sphinx has significant bonus versus large, which does not work versus Valkia. She is infantry sized. So he did end up losing that duel. Got a couple good hits on Valkia here and there, but not enough. And Khorne is hanging on to the last vestiges of power. But really, yeah, that Skull Reaper is most of their balance of power, and it's getting hit with Udin's Incantation of Vengeance, getting shot by the Chosen of the Gods. Valkia is not fast enough and strong enough to kill Kotep if he's moving. He should be able to get away from her, especially with the Sphinx somewhere nearby to protect. Then we still have a regular Ushabti. We still have Sepulchral Stalkers. Yeah. I thought you would say remove Dwarfs from the game, add them back and remove them again. Nah. Valkia dives in, but army loss is going to take Khorne out. And that is game 2 to Devil. But hey, you can't blame that one on a bad matchup. Kukinko won that matchup versus La Luna. You can't be like, human boy, you're stupid and dumb. All these matchups are counters. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Decent damage value for a lot of the melee units, but then they just started getting kited. Coast guns are fine as it is as well. Yeah, Chaos Dwarves, Skaven, Coast have pretty good guns. But there's a lot of ranged units that don't do enough damage to big single entities. It's down to Norska. Norska has to carry versus Lizardmen, Tomb Kings, and Nurgle. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him until game 5. I like 5-game series. I won't fight it. I wish we would get a patch buffing up the bad stuff in most factions. Would love to see some legendary lords that I never played. Oh, for sure. For sure, Surprise. Also, hey, Surprise, how you doing? Wouldn't it be better just give them a bonus versus large instead of straight damage buff then? Possible. Let's be honest, Norska was the best chance Kukinko had either way. But Khorne versus Tomb Kings is a matchup that we see a lot, and Khorne wins it plenty. You can't rewrite history and just say every matchup for Kukinko is disfavored. Kukinko won it previously. I'm done. I'm done arguing with trolls. No. Not trolls, just memes. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, I gotta put up a poll so people can decide whether or not Norska is gonna rally. Create a poll. Oh my goodness. Does Norska sweep? NRS is Norska. Bum, 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 bum. Whenever I played versus Tomb Kings, it's unwinnable. But they just won it earlier in this stream. They just won it. Ugh. Sipa also played it a lot versus Ash. Anyway, I digress. Tomorrow, this might be the last game, or it might be the third from last game, depending on how well Kukinko does with Norska. Tomorrow we have another stream. It is nice and early in the morning. Be sure to check my channel. It is posted right now. You can go check it out. Like, if you're wondering what time it is, you can just go to YouTube/HumanBoyYesYes. View your channel. And upcoming live streams. Best Warlord Finals, $200 on the line. That is tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning my time. I don't know where it is for you. We'll have a best of 5 between, I think it's Sexy Boy and Sipa, and then we have Segos and Alfredino. So 2 best of 5s there. And then the finals is the winner of each of those is a best of 7 between whoever wins that. So that should be pretty cool and exciting. Hope to see some of you there. It will not be survival mode. That'll be a traditional best of 5. I like survival mode a lot. I think it's very fun. We did it in this one with the new players because I wasn't sure the faction depth of the new players, and I wanted best of 5s for the finals. So it's like, all right, well, can I guarantee that new players can play 7 factions well? Well, you said a best of 5. That's not 7 factions. Well, if you consider in picks and bans and global bans and all the stuff we normally include, you kind of need 7 picks if you're going to play a best of 5. And with the survival format, they only need to be able to play 3 factions. So. Again, these new players are pretty good, like these ones, because they made it to the top 4, but they did qualify through new player tournaments, so it would feel like a dick move. It's like, hey, you got this far as a new player. Anyway, learn 7 factions. See you Saturday. Like, all right, pick your 3 you're best at. We'll play them. Overhyped, overwatched. Why Overwatch? Why is everybody talking about Overwatch now? What's going on? Wow, you people don't believe in the Norska sweep. Wow. 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 It's Throg! Throg, baby! Let's go! Love Throg. Kukinko on their last life, back against the wall, but a feral, rabid, ravenous, ripped, raging animal will fight its hardest when it's backed, cornered, desperate, pushed, pressed, stressed against the wall. For Norska, we have a front line of Marauders backed up by Marauder Hunter Javelins, 4 of them total. 1 Marauder Champion with great weapons, 2 Skin Wolves, and 2 Norskan Ice Wolves. We do have, 3 Norskan Ice Wolves and Skin Wolves, my bad. We have Throg the Troll King with Wintertooth Crown and Fight or Die, and a Shaman Sorcerer of Death with Spirit Leech and Fate of Buna. On the other side, for Devil and his Lizardmen, cohort of Sotek, red-crested skinks across the front line for them. The armor piercing will be kind of wasted, but red-crested skinks after their buffs are just actually a very aggressive and strong front line. I mean, they're only 500 gold. They'll still die, but like, they're good at what they do. And then we have Cold One Spear Riders, 4 of them total, Skink Skirmishers and Skink cohorts in the background, Colossadon Hunters, the Umbral Tide, and we do have a Slann Mage Priest of Beasts with Banishment and Blood Statue despite bound spells, and Flock of Doom as his only real spell. Isn't the Dog Wolves combo going to rip up the Cav? Potentially, though I usually see a Plague of Rust caster here. This was really risky. This build from Norska was really risky if they went the Dread Saurian Heal Blob, because Marauder Hunter Javelins are still solid against the Dread Saurian, but without Plague of Rust, they have a hard time getting through Regrowth and Flesh to Stone. So we will see. As Norska advances. They wander through the desert. Neither of these factions really belongs in the desert, let's be honest. This is weird. Seeing Vikings in furs fighting Lizzies. Cold One Cav is coming in. Now, Marauder Hunter Javelins can get straight shots onto these guys, but they don't have fire at will on, so they're going to need attack orders, which it looks like Kukinko is a little slow on some of the attack orders here. And now the Marauder Hunters are wandering into melee. In comes the dogs for this counter charge, but the Skin Wolves are getting left behind. Only Norskan Ice Wolves are taking this fight. No Skin Wolves backing them up whatsoever. Now the dogs and Skin Wolves get in there. This Cold One Spear Rider is getting ripped to shreds as Marauder Hunter Javelins sit and throw at them at point blank range. Other Marauder Hunter Javelins also throwing uphill into Cold One Spear Riders, but they're going to get obstructed by their own troops, and a banishment comes through. And if the old ones favor the Slann this day, it would go uphill into those dogs, but it's not quite. But an overcast Flock of Doom from the Slann also does a lot of work. I think Devil is off to an early lead, though the damage value and bounce power is actually more even than I would have thought. Everywhere I've looked, Norska has kind of been getting their shit rolled. Meanwhile, the Umbral Tide going to get hit with a Fate of Buna that should almost kill them outright, so there will be no extra fire damage support for you for the rest of the game. As Throg starts to run towards the Slann, Mage Priest wants to take him out, as in the high ground, Cold One Spear Riders hold due to Cold-Blooded, and their downhill charging position does help them get rid of those Skin Wolves. Elsewhere, Skin Wolves and Dogs, the ones that staggered engaged and engaged together, having troubles getting through Cold One Spear Riders, and the Colossadon Hunters are going to easily swoop down and take them out. Salamander Hunting Pack routing because of the Fate of Buna. And Throg is already trying to Hail Mary this game and save it by beating up the Slann all by himself. We do have some infantry for the Lizardmen trying to get clear so they can get between the Slann and Throg. Elsewhere, we have 1 healthy Skin Wolf left, plus some Marauder Hunter Javelins. Ooh, the Skin Wolves return and fight this with the Colossadon Hunters backs to the Marauder Hunter Javelins. They'll get a lot of damage out, but Norska is about to get crumped. We have downhill charging Cold One Spear Riders going to catch up to some of the Javelin throwers. And I mean, Throg is trying to win this game right now. He is slamming the Slann Mage Priest and trying to save everything. Look at him go. He's kicking tons of ass. But now he's surrounded by the Cold One Spear Riders, so he shouldn't be able to escape. He won't die instantaneously, but he's going to take a lot of damage, and he'll have to rely on his healing to stay safe. But the main problem for Norska is that he's not able to keep hitting that Slann like he was. Oh yeah, there's a Marauder Champion with great weapons. Okay, well, they're trying. They're doing their best. Plague of Rust isn't much for sure, yeah. Doesn't know you need shield the old ones for Buna. Monkey units are worthless, that's why value is so close, I assume. Oh, okay, I see. I see what's going on. Throg does manage to escape from the trap laid for him. He and his caster are going to run down the Slann Mage Priest. Balance power is heavily Lizard favored, while the damage value is actually pretty close. Spirit Leech plus Throg hitting him as I accidentally go underneath the map. Cold-Blooded keeps the Slann in the fight for now, but Throg just keeps walloping him. And he is gonna die. Eventually. 1-2 leadership. Throws out a final flock of dooms. The shaman catches him and knocks out the Slann. Can the reduced leadership be enough? Norska and Ice Wolves will side charge the Umbral Tide. Get rid of those guys. Do we even have any Skin Wolves left? Oh, there was one that's pretty healthy, but it's going to get walked off the map by the Cold Wind Spear Riders. That's a disastrous loss for Norska. Not much they could do about it because it was routing. Just have your unit stop routing, bro. But it is still pretty bad. Sorcerer of Death is going to get run down quite soon. It is just Throg, and Kukinko is going to withdraw. GG. Devil will win the finals with a 3-0 sweep. As I think we crashed. Nope, we're fine. Yeah, I think he crashed out. Yeah, that last game, it just looked like Kukinko's micro got really stretched. We saw some instances of Skinwolves getting left behind as the dogs charged forward. 2 Marauder Hunter Javelins ended up in melee instead of throwing for a bit. So it was just a lot going on, and they got hard pressed by all these skinks, while Devil just chucked his units at the enemy and was like, I don't know, they'll figure it out. They're skinks, they're cheap, they're bad. They're fine. So GG's, good job to Kukinko for getting to the finals, but Devil does take the day. Been crushing it in new player events, though. I think he's officially graduated out of all of them that I know of, so now he's stuck just playing Tequila Sunset's weekly tournaments like a chump. Take that, Devil. You got banned from all the fun tournaments because you're too good. Those matchups were miserable. Really bad matchup. I will say, like, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just answering the allegations that it was like 3 bad matchups in a row. It's like, okay, Kukinko won Khorne versus Tomb Kings versus La Luna. So you can't go back in time and say like, there's nothing, because back then chat was saying, wow, can't beat Khorne. Khorne's so overpowered. And then Khorne loses, and all of a sudden chat's like, wow, bad matchup, unlucky. And it's like, Nurgle Ogre Kingdoms was a bad matchup, unlucky. I got that. Tomb King's Khorne is fine. Sippa and Ash play it all the time. Those are 2 very high level players. Kukinko beat La Luna on it, so I don't really get that argument. And then the last one, that was a pretty close game, and Norska could have won it, and that was with one Skinwolf going AFK while a dog charged in all alone. Again, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just answering these allegations that matchup's unwinnable. It's like, okay, if the Skinwolf had charged with the dog on the right flank for Kukinko, that engagement would have gone better. We had 2 Marauder Hunter Javelins that didn't have Fire at Will on, so they watched a fight happen for a while without throwing, and then they ended up in melee. So then 2 of your Archer type units didn't get a lot of value out. Okay, well, considering how close the game was, those 2 mistakes could have really turned things around, right? Like, just saying. So I don't know. Just saying it's unlucky bad matchups Kukinko couldn't have possibly won. That's a little disingenuous to Devil. Like, Devil played great. Devil deserves some credit for the win, not to just say like, man, RNG sure gave Devil that. It's like, okay, RNG gave him game 1. Give him credit for games 2 and 3. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm done arguing about it, but there. Devil deserves credit. Don't undercut the poor guy. He did great. He played really great. He had a super close 5-game series with Jackerskins, and he came ready and prepared in the finals. All right. Well, I had fun. I thought the series were really good. Thanks to Jackerskins, La Luna, Kukinko for playing. Congratulations to Devil. Devil, I'll be DMing you about what DLCs you even need in a second here, but I'm gonna wrap up the stream. Once again, join us tomorrow morning if you want to for the veteran player finals. And for now, let's go raid Tequila Sunset. So if you want more Conquest new player action, Tequila Sunset's currently doing a stream for Big JP's tournament. So let's go raid him. Go say hi to Tequila Sunset. Goodbye, everybody. See you tomorrow morning.